Welcome back to another episode of the Faction After Hours podcast. This is episode 104 from our final bout trip this year. This was on the way to Chicago. So this was day one of our trip, and we had the pleasure of sitting down with Derek King and Derek Bianski from Team Braking, located in Fort Worth, Indiana. So this was a pretty big deal for me. So Derek was the first person I actually contacted when I knew we were going out to Final Bout. I've always wanted to sit down with these guys and have a chat about low car style and, you know, team drifting and all that stuff. And these guys honestly couldn't have given us a better time. They invited us over to Derek King's, I guess we would call it a shop because it's his house, but he's got a full shop in the backyard. And he has a shit ton of cars there, and they're all pretty awesome. So it was a really good time. They cooked food for us on the grill. Yeah, we had a blast on this. This is one of my favorite podcasts we have ever done, period, I would say. Top 5. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and let us know what you thought. This podcast is sponsored by East Coast Drift School. East Coast Drift School, which is located in Englishtown, New Jersey, is a driving school that offers a more private and intimate environment for learning how to drift. Whether you're someone who has countless drift events under your belt or someone who has yet to kick a clutch, East Coast Drift School is a great place to pick up some seat time and improve your drifting abilities. Be sure to follow East Coast Drift School on Instagram and look out for the schedule, which is released on the 16th of every month. Also, feel free to message them directly for pricing and availability. You can find them on Instagram at East Coast Drift School. This podcast is also sponsored by Automotive Specialty Wraps. Automotive Specialty Wraps is a company specializing in paint protection film, vehicle wraps, ceramic coatings, and window tinting located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Owned and operated by car enthusiasts and drifters, their technicians have over 10 years of experience in the industry. The ceramic coating is what really caught my attention when they reached out to us. This coating basically gives your car's paint extra UV protection while also making it shine. Wax only lasts for a couple weeks at most, but ceramic coating lasts for a year or longer. They perform a full 2-stage polish to the car beforehand to make sure the vehicle is in perfect condition before applying the coating. As mentioned, they also offer window tinting and paint protection film installations. Now, everyone knows what window tinting is, but these guys offer carbon or ceramic tinting depending on your goals with the vehicle. Paint protection film, or PPF, is a great idea for those new vehicle owners that don't want to get stuck behind an 18-wheeler on the way home one night, and then get out and realize your front end is littered with rock chips. I'm looking at you, Subaru owners. Your paint sucks, so make sure you protect it fast before you regret it and need a new paint job. Also keep in mind they are capable of getting liveries designed and installed as well as full vehicle wraps. From protecting your tow rig's exterior to full livery installations on your drift car, they have you covered. You can contact them at automotivespecialtywraps.com and make sure to give them a follow on Instagram at automotivespecialtywraps.
We're gonna do this, dude. Yeah.
But you can hear it, remember that.
Only if I'm like,
Yeah, that's it. That's
shaking
around.
and stuff. You just had to hold this thing or whatever.
All right.
All right, we're good?
That's it.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody to the Faction After Hours podcast. We're here with Team Braking, Derek and Derek.
The D&D show.
The D&D show.
Yep.
But we drove all the way to Indiana. We're in Indiana, right?
Yeah, we're in Indiana.
Okay.
Yes,
Certainly.
Carl.
Because for a little while we were in Pennsylvania for like 9 years.
Yep.
And it was horrible.
Ohio's not much better,
I
was
fucking
flat, though.
don't like Ohio at all.
but it's long.
And we had a Chick-fil-A sandwich. We had a Chick-fil-A experience where it was the cleanest fucking Chick-fil-A ever.
Yeah, it was weird.
And everyone was so nice.
Yeah, it was like really different than New Jersey.
I don't know if that's just because of the tri-state thing.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
We're sitting in your shop and it's absolutely beautiful and you got a bunch of cool shit in here. But today we're going to talk about like kind of how you are in this situation you are in now. We already kind of covered a lot of stuff off camera.
Yeah, off camera was
Kind of how you and Frankie don't actually know each other. But,
Yeah,
like,
Derek thought I was someone else for like 10 years. But,
Yeah, just learned that.
And then now we're
this
here.
evening.
But
And-
unfortunately, we can't figure it out who it is. So if you had a red S13 hatch with a pig nose lip.
With an
and,
SR.
Like Hot Wheels back in like 09.
And let me stay at their dorm on campus or house or whatever.
At Rutgers.
I think Rutgers.
Yeah.
Not far from E-Town during D1 USA.
Yeah, please hit us up because we're trying to figure out who
That's
he
such
thought
a
I was.
crazy.
Because I did not stay with Frankie.
Frankie just graduated high school.
Yeah, literally 09, graduated high school.
You're
Fuck.
just a freshman partying it up. Maybe that's what it was.
It wasn't me, dude.
He still thinks it is.
We had so many good fucking conversations off camera, but like we're just gonna keep them going.
I'm telling you, I think it's well, it's easy for me because again, I just met you guys.
Yeah.
And first of all, we pulled up here. Actually, prior to pulling up here, I just got in the truck and I'm like, Frankie, where are we going? So
Yeah, I
Yeah,
literally
now we're
like,
here.
arranged all these podcasts, and then like I tell him like a week before, and he's like, "I'm just getting in the truck, and we're just doing whatever we're doing." I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right." I'm like, "First stop, braking." He's like, "Oh yeah, who are those guys?" I was like, "This is how I know you're not like you're still kind of fresh to drifting."
I am quite fresh. to
Yeah, I'm
drifting.
like, because he doesn't really know you guys that well, so I was like, okay, so there's the age gap.
That's
It's like-
good. It's still.
yeah,
Well,
like
and
you guys
exciting.
are even like older than me by a bit, so you guys are like the first wave. I would consider like the first or second wave of drifting in the U.S.
Probably
and then-
second.
Well, no one would get excited to talk to us if they're our age.
Yeah.
Facts.
Why? Because it's like old now to you, or like you're just
No,
like it's normal.
we're just burned out losers now.
It's just the homies at that point. It's
Yeah.
just like, yo, you're still doing this too? All right, cool.
No, I think
But-
that's sick, and I even asked you just now if you still skate.
Yeah,
because like
yeah.
yeah,
So-
there is a little bit of an age gap, but that doesn't mean like honestly, we've just been kicking it. If Frankie didn't ask you guys how old you were, I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have fucking asked anyway.
How old do you think I am?
Well,
How old would you think I was if
I thought you were
didn't
maybe
know?
mid-30s, like 35.
I was hoping younger than that.
Well, it's the way you carry yourself, dude, and like I'm over here geeking at your shop, and you're like, yeah, I just run out of time now, and I'm like, fuck,
Gotta get rid of
dude.
some of these fucking cars.
Yeah, no, but it's just like you could tell when somebody's seen some shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
He seems weathered to you.
not weathered, not weathered.
fair.
Look, man, what do I always say? A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor.
Yeah.
Suck a dick. Like,
But like I talk about I've done it before, like the waves of drifters. I remember when we were talking to Damien, and I was like, Damien, you're kind of like part of that first wave of drifters.
I would say
Talking
you
about
guys-
Bagley?
Yeah.
Nice.
Wait,
Yeah.
am I? No.
no, Damien from Kuroshi,
Team Kuroshi.
Car Shop Kuroshi.
He wasn't
The white and yellow cars.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a new team, but he's been in the scene for like
Yeah, like sick liveries.
a while.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
very
I know
like,
they are.
and the way that they execute everything, I feel like my favorite
Oh,
thing
I know
about
what
it
you're
is
talking
like a lot of it is still old type. Like
Yeah,
the vinyl is still layered. Like it's an IS dash and an 8.6. I love Damien shit, man. He makes cool stuff. Very creative guy.
Yeah, but
Hi,
like
Damien.
I could butcher a project like that, it sounds like.
yeah, I don't know. It's just like I consider that like kind of the first wave, and then you guys would be the first wave too in my eyes. But
Dude,
then,
I feel like you guys had first wave for sure.
pretty much anything that
we were just
like,
talking
if they
about
were-
09, dude.
Yeah,
I
like
was
if,
in
you,
like
if
the
you were
ninth
drifting
grade.
before 2010, then I'm like that's kind of like the first wave. Then the second wave is probably like probably that next decade. Kind of, you could split it up, but then
Decade?
like because you came in like 16,
I came in at around 14, 15.
and you guys seem to have like a little bit of a different.
We looked up to
Opinion
people
and
like
stuff.
you guys,
Yeah,
Derek and Derek,
yeah,
and you.
yeah.
To me, I thought you were older. I always thought Frankie was older. I think it's just because of his mannerisms and his
Okay.
ability to grasp technology. But you set this whole thing up, and
Yeah, what the fuck? I set this whole thing
I
up.
wasn't gonna say a fucking word until you did it because I knew
Yeah.
you would have thought about it a little bit more, and
Yeah, you're
maybe
fucking
you would have
right.
panicked. And now he's here.
No.
But
I don't know. Yeah, so you got well, dude. I looked up to you guys as well. So I mean, and me being the second wave in my head, that kind of makes sense because it's like I'm looking at these guys. I'm looking at back then Risky Devil.
Yeah, so
Like-
I feel like we would be second wave.
That's what I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like
because
too.
like
Oh, okay, that's
you know,
interesting.
Like,
Okay.
I think Final Bout harvested like the third wave and maybe even
Yeah.
like the current wave of
Final
like,
about
drift.
one, you're saying
well,
like when it
just
first.
in general, yeah,
Yeah.
because there weren't a lot of teams in the U.S. back then, and like I think first wave would be more like Grip Gamblers and Risky Devil,
For sure.
Oh, okay.
When-
Pink Godzilla out west, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
those guys, and then
Yeah.
you know,
Drift
the-
Alliance.
Yeah,
like
Drift
that,
Alliance.
That type of era.
Okay,
where-
so you
yeah.
guys feel like you were a little bit after that.
Yeah,
whole
for
thing.
sure.
Yeah, 'cause we
had people to look up to when we were getting into it that were already in the States doing it.
Okay.
So it was like,
That makes
okay,
sense.
there are people here. It's actually like something that we can do. It's not just something like in a different country that's like, oh, that's neat, but like I can't, it's not approachable.
Yeah.
So seeing like other people in the States do it, it's like, okay, somebody figured this out. And that's who he was for me. Like DK was the person that I was like, okay, this dude drifts. How do I go about this now? And when we became friends, he like kind of.
Did you just call him DK? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Derek King.
I'm going to call you that now too, because now I feel I'm like Derek, and then Derek, and
Yeah.
then Derek.
Yeah.
But can I call you DK?
That's fine. I mean, we've been.
But it stands for
we've
Derek
been
King.
friends now since a long time, and
Yeah.
like everyone kind of distinguishes me as DK and him as Derek, because otherwise it's a nightmare if we're in the same building.
That's exactly why,
Yeah,
because our podcast listeners are like, which Derek is this guy fucking talking to?
When did you guys meet?
That's
then?
what I was about to ask, because if he inspired you, and that was a time when social media wasn't
maybe
a
like
fucking thing.
2007 or 8.
Yeah, probably 8. Like,
Yeah.
he was around cars around here, and I knew of him, I think, because of that, because we had mutual, like, street race friends back
Yeah,
then.
yeah. That was like the big thing at the time, was just like all like street racing and like highway pull stuff. So like
Shit.
the idea that someone was like doing track things to me was like very, very appealing, because at that time it was just like we'd go to drag strips, or it was mostly street stuff, but we would drive, you know, a couple hours or whatever, go to a drag strip, and then it was like, oh, that was fun, but like I always enjoyed like the aspect of driving, like driving. So
Yeah.
like when I met him, I was like, all right, this dude like is doing things. He's already
He's
traveling.
like, this dude's an idiot.
I'm going to
If he
use
can
this
pull,
guy
If he can
as
pull
my-
this off, he's like, I can make this
I'm
happen.
gonna use this
For
guy as my
sure.
bad influence.
No, for like example, the first time I met him, like we were just like out street racing with a bunch of people. It was like on the weekend or whatever, and he pulled up, and we were all getting ready to head to a spot. And I think he had like a bug eye at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was just like, he was just down to race. Like it didn't matter. He had like golf clubs in the trunk. Like he just like came back from, I think like
I was on the road.
Chicago. Or
I had a
something.
spare door in the back.
Yeah. So like I ended up like meeting him that night, and then like found out later that he was someone that slid, and I was like, yo, that sounds really appealing. Like, and then like we got like each other's numbers or whatever, and I was like, all right, I already have an S13. Like I'm interested in this.
I was about to ask, did you already have a drift car at this point? Because you said
No,
bug eye.
you didn't have that yet.
No. Oh, okay. So like I had like a front wheel drive like Volkswagen at the time.
Okay.
And then like he was already doing it, and I was already like in the process of switching over, because like it sounded cool, but I didn't know anybody that did it. So I was like, okay, like I just bought this S13, and like he does this, so like I'm gonna piggyback onto that. And
Yeah.
was
He
just
could
like,
do it.
Yeah. Well, no,
This
it
is
was,
literally the story of that.
it was just like a thing that was like, hey, be here this weekend. We're going to Dayton. Like, you need to go. And I was just like, all right, cool. Like, all right.
And that,
Damn.
And what was in Dayton, like drifting?
Yeah.
Okay.
That could Drift Indy. Oh, that could have been like a Street Life Tour even back then. I'm not sure.
I think it was just a regular like drift day,
But
because I
most-
was so nervous.
Most of our Drift Indy events back then were in Indianapolis, actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Okay. That's
So
yeah.
That's where Drift Indy started.
Okay, cool. So,
And-
did you guys? Are you guys the founders?
No.
You're not. Okay.
No, just homies. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We were.
Who is-
I was there from the beginning, essentially, but I'm not a founder of Drift Indy.
Who started that?
Edgar, TR, and John. They're all.
Edgar sounds familiar. I
Yeah,
feel like I've-
Sarmiento, TR Shrivner, and John Gilliott.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So those guys had already been driving by the time like I got into it. So I was like, there's already a thing that's built up, and I was
Yeah.
like, this exists. It was very small at the time, but like people were doing it.
I couldn't imagine.
I was
how
about to
small it
ask, like,
was.
what that event was probably like. Like, you're showing up, how many car? Like, I feel like you go to a drift event now, shit's packed.
Yeah.
I
it's-
mean, it
Always.
was the first event was 06, and I don't remember how many cars were there, but I would say 30.
yeah.
I'd say there was
Damn,
probably
that's a
30. Mainly 240s back
Yeah,
then.
just
Yeah.
like stock body 240.
And I
Yeah.
didn't know a single person because he wasn't coming along yet because we didn't know each other. So I was just packing up my own car. I had met some guys on ARC 7 Club
The forum?
in high school.
yeah.
Yeah, the forum in high school, and we used to go do autocrosses together. Because there used to be a thing called Rotary Revolution, And it's kind of like, I think 7 stock is the thing now, maybe
Yeah,
still.
I think so.
So there was a thing called Rotary Revolution in Indianapolis. It was a big, huge event. And I met those guys through that. And then we were all the same age. And then we became friends from that in the forum. And then they'd come up here and we go to autocrosses and drift. And then that turned into Drift Indy being a thing. And then that's like, you know, I went down there and knew guys from essentially RX-7 community.
Yeah. So you were into the RX-7 shit like early.
Yeah, when I was
okay.
like 15 is when that
Yeah, like
pulled us back.
yeah, like going to high
awful
school.
discovery.
Wait,
happened.
what? How
Awful
old?
discovery.
How old do you get your license here? 16.
16.
Fuck. That jump starts you pretty fucking early in the
Yeah,
saddle.
it can. Yeah. Because what are we, 17?
Where it's 17, but then you have a lot of restrictions, and I feel like I don't know, most 17-year-old kids nowadays aren't, you know, fucking
No,
going in
he
their
had
local.
like a slammed FC.
Yeah,
Like,
see?
like I knew
what?
his car before I knew him. I knew like he's this dude that had like a slammed FC and that he slid it, and that's like all that I knew. I knew he was gone a lot, like out of town. Like that's all it was.
I was
You knew he was
I was just
outside.
traveling. I mean, back then there was Facebook was a thing, but like there was no
yeah.
groups. You had like 4 friends, even if you were cool.
MySpace just ended.
Yeah, MySpace was over.
Or like
so,
fading out.
Literally, you'd find out about events from flyers, like as if it was a punk rock show.
I was
Yeah.
literally about to
That's
ask, like,
sick.
what's your source of?
And also, there'd be like blogs.
yeah,
Yeah.
forums,
Yeah, yeah.
Blogs
forums
and
mostly.
forums, but like there was blogs, and you'd like start following or favoriting a blog page because then they might be like, oh, here's an event coming up, and then you know there wasn't pre-reg. I don't even think like hardly. You
Like, you would just
knew-
show
you
up,
just
pay.
show up. Yeah,
That's crazy.
Dude, that's an era that I feel like
Yeah, that's
it would weed out the people that are like, yeah, this isn't really for me, because I feel like it took a little bit more effort to like
Yeah.
get, even just remotely get or find out about the
See,
event.
that's why, but this is another reason why, to me, it's like that's the first wave? Of drifters. Because, like, I never experienced that. Like, I mean, I can, like, relate to the, like, having no drivers at the events.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I can definitely relate to that, and I fucking miss that a lot, but. I mean, it's nice that drifting got so big.
It's growing, yeah.
But, like, dude, finding events from flyers is wild.
yeah, and like
Sick.
I was, you know, traveling because
Yeah.
you know, I didn't know much, so I was like, well, I want to go compete.
Yeah,
win,
yeah, yeah.
And win a couple bucks, you know? And
Yeah.
so, like, you know, even the organizers back then, like, most guys, a lot of organizers they came from something else. Like, and that was still kind of their background more so than drifting. But they were like, I like the cars sliding around. I'll host a drift event. But, like, a lot of them weren't drift people. They were just guys essentially supplying a place to go.
Yeah, just like
hold
motorsports
events.
people in general. Like
Yeah.
they were just down.
There was,
Yeah.
I have a buddy of mine who showed me pictures from like early track day in California for like 240 SX Club or something like that, or I forget what it was, but the purpose of the track day was not drifting. It just happened to house drifting, and like they were just there to like have a track day. Mm-hmm. Was it kind of similar kind of shit?
No, so we
or was
didn't-
it designated?
We, yeah, it was designated
Yeah.
around here.
Okay.
Like Drift Indy started specifically for drifting, but like before that, for me, like around here, Club FR was a thing for a few years beforehand. But I never went to one of those events because I didn't really discover it until I was probably either a senior or out of high school.
And where were
And
they
then-
doing it?
Oh, they back then they were doing it. They were using Road America.
Oh, yeah, that's
There's
right.
a kart track there in the middle of Road America.
Okay.
So there was a kart, really awesome actually.
Yeah.
I was
Amazing.
about to say
really
that sounds
cool.
like a facility.
So they used that. There was another kart track. I think it was kind of down on the south side of like Chicago. I only think they used it a couple times. And then Tire Rack, which is in South
I
Bend,
knew
Indiana.
you were gonna say that shit. I thought they
And
did that.
I never went. Never.
Is that the one
never
where it
went
was
there.
like a closed street? Because
No.
I've seen
It's on
an
the side of the
event.
highway, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's off of like 94.
Dude, I
Or
think I've
90.
seen that before.
It's off
90.
90.
Yeah, like
yeah.
80, 90. Yeah. So
That
yeah.
sounds interesting.
It's like a test track essentially,
Yeah, it's
and they
crazy.
had events there, but it was super strict because it's like an autocross place. They have sprinklers and stuff, and I think you know, back in 2004, 5, no one's any good, so people are certainly going over the sprinklers.
yeah. I remember coming back from like a Hot Import Nights like around 04, 05, and there was a couple cage cars like in the parking lot, and I was like, those are drift cars. Like
Yeah.
you could just tell they're a little beat. Like you could tell they were used.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, where are you guys headed? And they're like, hey, we're going to South Bend tomorrow to Tire Rack. There's going to be a drift event. And like, so like that was one of my like first times like seeing like
Anything to do
street
with it.
drift
Like
cars.
knowing that there's actual drift events. You
Yeah,
can,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
attend.
It wasn't just like a thing that's out west or out east. I felt like the Midwest was a little bit later as far as like it coming to like fruition, but like when it happened, it was like one of those things where it started to like pop up like consistently, and I was just like, all right, I definitely want to be a part of this.
Which is wild because earlier again I said like I feel like there's a lot of car shit going on in this like section of the United States. There's like a bunch of car shit going on, especially with drifting. So I was shocked. That's a shock for me to hear. But I saw once that there was a drift event where it was like it almost looked like a public road that was like closed.
That was
And there's-
probably Streets of Detroit.
yeah, probably
And there's
Detroit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
was.
It might have been
yeah,
in
it
there,
was.
like
That
a
was,
tall building in the background.
Yeah,
that
that
little train
super
station.
Dude,
sus.
that
Yeah.
shit was sick.
Like
man.
what? Did you guys ever experience that
he
at
drove
all?
that.
Yeah, I drove that.
That was an MDU, so that was Drift Indy. Technically, MDU was a competition series they had
Okay.
back then, and that was an MDU event.
What the fuck, dude?
that
Like,
wasn't. That was not too long. Like we're not talking like 2000s. We're talking
no,
like
maybe like
2000.
2014 or
Yeah,
14.
Okay, so
probably.
that-
I remember.
Yeah, like,
That
Was it
reflects
two,
me.
2 years,
Yeah.
2 years in a row.
Yeah, like right around that time. Yeah. I think they did it 2 years in
Yeah.
a row. And yeah, they just pretty much like shut off. It was like a city park, and it was like, you know, street roads or whatever. And there was a big train station behind it, so it had like a really cool backdrop and everything.
And that train station's like shut down.
Yeah,
It was,
I-
but now it's like
was,
real
yeah.
fancy apartments. They revived all that
Yeah.
area, so
Yeah.
like that'll never happen.
I was there like the year
Yeah.
after, and I got to see like the whole like layout and everything. I was like,
So
oh,
we
this is
went
where they were. What
We
the
went
fuck?
there a year or so after the last time MDU was there because
Yeah.
we parked there and did. We took the fixed gears up to Detroit.
Yeah. We rode bikes all through
We
the
rode
city
bikes.
and
It
everything.
was
Oh, cool.
sleeting,
Yeah, it was
sleeting
fun.
and snowing and
Yeah.
windy. It was absolutely miserable.
What the fuck?
Oh, the perfect time
What
to ride a
convinced
bike.
you to do that?
Luckily, we were all probably really warmed up on, beverages and whatnot. I mean, it was bad.
So like our one homie Michael Tung, he lived in Ann Arbor, so
Okay.
he was living up there at the time, and he just like invited us up, and
Yeah.
like it seemed like it was gonna be like
it was that time of the year
Nice
where it could be
weather,
like
yeah.
70 or
Snowing.
37.
yeah. So, but I mean, it was fun. Like everyone was a trooper about it. We rode all over the city,
Everywhere.
and like
All the sketchy spots, it was
yeah,
great.
Went to the Packard plant, and like
That's cool to see, though.
It was cool.
So you guys are kind of all sprinkled throughout the Midwest, the drivers at least.
So pretty much everybody is in Fort Wayne other than Tom.
Oh,
yeah, and he lives out in California now.
And Drake's
so.
in Indy.
Oh yeah, my brother's in Indy. So
Okay.
Can't forget about him, right?
you better not.
Does he drift as well?
Everyone but my blood.
Is he into drifting as well?
Yeah. So he has a matching FD to mine. Like it's fast as fuck. Like his car is right-hand drive. The biggest difference
I always
between the
forget
two
that.
is I do too.
Every
Every time I
time.
see it, I forget it's right-hand drive. He has black wheels instead of the luminous wheels. But yeah, so like he started driving with us, and then he was out in California for a few years. He served in the military. He was in the Marines, and then he drove out there for a while.
He was
and
at like
then-
Grange, right? Doing a lot
Yeah,
of
he
stuff with
drove.
Grange.
Grange a bunch.
Oh, wow.
Like I think before it was Apple
He had a
Valley or
Miata.
whatever.
That
Yeah,
that track is fun as shit. Have you guys had the?
I've never been there. No,
I think it's
so-
probably the part that it's in the middle of the desert for me that gives me just a great vibe. It's like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
nobody bothering us out here.
Yeah, dude. You
Like-
feel like you're in the Wild West out there. Like it doesn't even fucking matter.
A helicopter landed on the track. It
Yes.
was crazy.
Some guy in a quad
what the fuck?
broke his neck, so they had
Oh,
to,
whoa.
yeah.
They helicoptered him out.
They're like, can we land the helicopter here? They're like, yeah, I guess. So that was pretty sick, but
Yeah,
Feels like something similar happened at like Willow Springs when I was there, where there was, that was at PIR a couple. Never mind. Way off.
well, people talk shit on California a lot, like with being real strict and all this, but like there's areas of California that are like way not strict on anything. Like people just doing whatever the fuck they want. Like I love California, but obviously,
you
like,
don't.
I do, but like Los Angeles, I'm not really like
Every
a
5
fan.
minutes when we were there, Frankie's like, this place is fake. I don't think
Yeah,
this place is real.
dude. It's so fucking beautiful.
I've always had a
California's
good
amazing.
time out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
We had a fantastic time.
Yeah, yeah.
We
And
And then
recorded a
listen to
little
like
parody.
Yeah, you listen to like the internet and podcasts, and they're like, yeah, the place is falling apart, and you're like, I mean, yeah, there's homeless people, but
I mean,
I don't know.
that
I saw-
exists everywhere.
I saw
Yeah.
a crackhead drink it. You
Yeah.
remember the
Oh
crackhead that
my
I saw?
God.
We were on the street. What was I doing? Was I already having a hissy
We were
fit?
literally-
I was hangry.
We
I
were
was hangry as fuck, dude. And Frankie's just fucking.
I'm like asleep.
But
like-
but we passed this crackhead who was sitting there and had a jug of milk. Who was also just high as shit.
I just
on
hear
the side.
Carl in the back seat. Is that a fucking crackhead? And then I hear, is that a fucking jug of milk? And he's like, half
Cracking
awake.
milk is crazy. But we
Yeah.
came back. We came back. So it was a full gallon, dude. And then we came back, and the gallon was like fucking
Gone.
low.
Yeah.
And it was only like a couple hours. I was
Yeah,
like, this
he was
person
gone.
drank all the milk.
It's like, okay.
It was
Dude,
crazy.
He's not lactose.
He's
so
not
good for
definitely
him.
not
Dude, I'm
lactose. I
kinda
could
jealous,
never.
Actually.
I could never. Are you lactose?
I'm chilling.
But yeah,
It's not
we
always a
didn't,
good thing.
we did not have cheese today. All right, so that's good. I had a slice of cheese earlier.
Crack
Bless
it.
you, Frankie. We're gonna die.
Cracking milk goes crazy. That's what you
Yeah,
said.
but I'm not to bring us back to drifting.
Oh, God forbid.
Yeah, fuck. But do you remember what you guys had for your first mod? Like, what was done to your drift cars back then? Because like you're able to drift them, but I
Yeah.
feel like right now, I feel like a topic at hand is that everyone overbuilds their shit. Da 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 da. We all hear it.
I feel like Derek's going to answer this question totally fine. And DK is going to be like, I had 17 cars before I drifted or some shit. Like,
Well, you said bug eye, but
that
then you also
many.
said FC, and I'm like, why do
Well,
you
I
have a
was
bug eye?
drifting well before the bug
Yeah,
eye.
he was
Oh,
drifting.
okay.
Yeah, well before we
well,
met.
I guess.
But he always had a bunch of cars, so like that's always been a constant.
yeah, it has to
You're
be.
just always a wild card, I guess.
Dude, there's too many cars here right now.
Go ahead and you could purchase a few.
Okay.
Maybe get some of your friends to purchase.
If we had a
them.
trailer right now, we really could have brought one back.
Hell,
Stop,
I got
'cause
a
I've-
trailer for sale too.
We can sell you a car and a trailer.
I got a truck for sale.
Car,
load it up.
trailer. I
Package
saw you had
deal.
some two-wheel toys. I like the two-wheel toys right now. I would like
One of
something.
those was for sale.
Yeah, he'll literally buy one. That's
Stop.
dangerous.
Shut up.
No, but like setup stuff. What did you feel like your first like?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was get a diff that works, weld it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Back in the early days, I didn't know that you couldn't get parts on eBay.
Couldn't?
No, there wasn't like catbacks, knockoffs or anything. So
Oh, okay.
you had to either.
Like forums.
Yeah, you didn't. There was no used parts floating around hardly at all. At least around here, things were different, probably out east and west. But
Would you say so, Frankie?
When I was, but I started.
I'm talking like
Yeah,
06,
Oh, yeah,
05.
so it
too
was-
far of a
it-
difference. Yeah.
Like you
Damn.
couldn't get on eBay and get a catback.
Yeah, like,
for $300.
I
You
already
could
know-
definitely do
I
that
already
when
know
I
what the
was
stock
drifting.
image
It
looks
was
like. It's
all
like
like-
of the cat.
You had to buy a Pexi. Like my first
Yeah.
exhaust for my first RX-7, I had to buy a real Apexi N1 with I didn't eat lunch in high school because I saved my lunch money. And
That shit's so real.
That's
obviously
so
that
real,
didn't
bro.
add up, But
Like you gotta wait for the Apexi, the Apexi dealer to post it on Zilvia or something.
yeah, I wish I remember who I even ordered that through, but I don't.
Yeah.
Everything at that time, like anything that was ordered, it was all universal. It's like universal bucket seats. It's universal, like just whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's all like kind of like knockoff ish type
Yeah.
stuff, or just like APC or like you know what I mean. It's like in between that early like tuner,
Yeah.
like kind of
Like the ads and import tuner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So magazines, were you still like a magazine catalog
Oh.
ordering from their type of generation?
Yeah, I'd say that probably could have been where I ordered that
yeah,
exhaust.
like magazine. I was heavy magazines, like
Dude.
Super Street, like
Yeah.
We didn't
Modified,
have like shops here, so-
Yeah, like speed shops.
There was a
That's
couple like street race shops, but it was hot. It was hot import night style.
Yeah, it was just Honda stuff mostly. Like
They were probably just fronts anyways. So we're definitely
For sure.
not ordering
Definitely.
drift car parts.
yeah, we could get that. Just leave the money right here.
So that's what I've been doing wrong.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense now.
Well, you guys mentioned street racing, so I was gonna kind of just assume Honda, because it's that generation where
I feel like there was a lot of Hondas back then, like
Yeah.
hot import night shit.
Yeah.
it was
I-
that, and then like here, like a lot of domestics too. So it was always like
yeah.
us being like in the Midwest. There's always that like very heavy like domestic like car like vibe for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Trans Am.
Dude, there's so much. Once you get I remember driving around Michigan, just like, holy shit, there are so many American cars on the road. You don't see that where we are.
Oh, it's still like that, and
Yeah,
also
definitely.
yeah.
in Detroit area, it's just like
Yeah.
Mopar, Camaro. Everything
Yeah,
is
Cadillac, like a lot of Chevy, like
And
yeah,
then by
definitely.
us, it's like Toyota.
Dude, it's
Honda,
Toyota,
Subaru.
Toyota
Yeah.
everywhere. I
Yeah,
think it's just because I feel like everybody in our area never maintains a car. ever.
Toyota, you don't need to.
But yes, sir.
A lot of Hondas, but California, dude, there were a lot of Toyotas.
That was next
like,
level
way
Toyota.
too many.
Like
yeah,
every kind that you could imagine.
that was weird.
It was very
it's
weird.
kind of crazy how like different I mean, the fucking Midwest thing makes sense, but like different areas of the country have. You can notice it if you look around. You will notice it.
We're
All
just
different
we're just
cars.
Silverado here.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
we're Silverados.
I'm on board with that.
So-
Big
Silverado
Silverado
Sierra,
guy.
definitely.
GMT8.
Yeah.
Frankie was
Oh.
allegedly cruising on
I'm
the
a
way
400
here.
guy personally.
Which
GMT 400.
So that's the more boxy.
Yeah.
Was that the one that I pointed out
Yeah,
earlier?
probably. Well, that was a Suburban, but yeah.
See that right there, that's a truck. To me, I think of Suburban, and that's the one I think of because I
Yeah.
could draw it.
I do like. I do like mine, but I need a Duramax.
Yours is
Yeah.
yours is nice.
That is the only one.
I talk
like.
shit on it all the time because I have a Sequoia.
I don't know. It's like how much older can you go with trucks before you're like, maybe I shouldn't be fucking using this as a tow rig.
They all suck though.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't really matter. Like even a new one, everything sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, all you hear about is new vehicles ending up in the delership with,
Trans
something,
problems.
a warranty
Issues.
job
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Wait, Derek, do you now
No.
for those of you who are listening and aren't on the video portion, and you won't even see this anyway, but behind the camera is Derek's FD. And I'm just looking at it all the time.
Yeah, I
but
wish
you street drive this thing a lot.
Yeah. So like
Like
I
you drove
don't
it
know.
here.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's a shocker in its own.
I mean,
Like, look how low that shit is.
It is crazy. Yeah.
I don't know. Like for whatever reason, I enjoy that aspect of like driving it to and from events. Like towing's definitely like takes some of the stress out of it for sure. Like typically, like if we go over 7 hours, I try to tow just in case.
Damn.
Just because like I've been burnt once before, so I had like an ECU like burn up, which was my problem. Like it was my fault, but we were maybe sliding on the way to the event, and I might have pulled the harness down and
Yeah.
Was that like on the way to Nashville?
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Bro, you guys are naming.
So so you guys get around.
7 hours is like not a short bracket.
Yeah.
Like it's like, yeah, if it's a little more than 7 will take you around a good chunk of the country.
so I say 7 because I think US Air is like basically like 7.
Okay.
On paper.
Yeah.
But really, it's more like
Depending-
Are we
9.5.
7 hours away from US
Yeah,
Air still?
I feel the same way.
Where
when I-
are we, dude?
Depending on like Chicago traffic for sure. That's
Okay.
usually like the variable. But like I like to drive it up to Wisconsin a lot. Like that's definitely probably like maybe that's why I came up with that a little bit. Like that that
7
number.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
very
well,
specific.
I guess we went to West Virginia last year. What was that?
That's 8.
Okay, so
Was it 8 hours?
8 hours last year.
A
we
little
drove.
over the little over the
but like
threshold.
also we have like
I'm
like,
the only one that towed out to that event.
yeah. So we all
Whole
street
team
drove
drove
and
except me.
everything.
So what do
Yeah.
you do with like spare tires and stuff? Just
They go in the back of my truck.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you need
Yeah.
so you need somebody.
Someone needs
Well,
a trailer.
So most of the time, like for whatever reason, like my car doesn't go through like a whole lot of tires. Like I don't know if it's just possibly because of the weight of the car. I mean, there's definitely a bunch of like different
Yeah.
factors, but I usually always have 2 new tires. So 2 new that's on like the rear, and then 2 that's in the car. I always have one in the passenger seat and then one in the hatch, just because that's all that'll fit.
How much
If I-
power does the car make?
Right now, I'd say probably a little over 3, in
Yeah.
between 300 350.
Bullshit.
Okay. Slower than that, Derek?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wait, you think it's slower?
Yeah.
So it's probably like 300.
Yeah, my turbo's like as old as I am at this point.
Well, because
Well, I
I see
always-
videos and like
I always think 300 horsepower. That's like a good number.
That's a
for like
spaceship.
a street car driving to events.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
using a lot of tires. Like
Yeah,
still
I'm not-
having fun.
yeah, I don't like break too much stuff.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
like, yeah, but it might be a little under 300 right now. I have a pretty old like Apexi like
yeah.
turbo setup on it that is it's a dinosaur.
Yeah, yeah.
So like newer efficient setups are definitely like in the future.
Yeah, it's
so,
great. We like dinosaur technology too.
Yeah.
So.
no. You
Literally everyone but you. No, you literally do too. Though.
I do too,
Yeah.
but-
So we like the dinosaur technology, but then like you see like the new G series turbos and shit, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, this is kind
We
of
were
crazy.
talking earlier about like the Pexi like Power FC. Like I
Yeah.
ran the Power FC for I don't know maybe 8 years or whatever, and never had issues with it. So
Okay.
I was like, it works. I'm not changing it.
Yeah.
And then I kind of had some like weird electrical things. So like over
Yeah.
time, I was like, all right, it makes sense to switch to like a newer unit because like there's just so many benefits.
And fail safes.
Yeah,
that's, I mean, that's
exactly.
the thing for us because like everyone's telling me do not put a fucking Power FC back in my car because it's like a HKS 2.2 SR, and like I don't know, it's still got an old ass turbo. I'm gonna run a 20G.
Dude, the turbo looks
Good
old
sounds.
as shit.
Gotta have the sounds.
Exactly. That's all I cared about.
Exactly.
Yep.
But then they're like, don't put a fucking Power FC on it. I'm like, yeah, I get it, but like,
Dude, having the controller.
I want the
so
controller.
nice. Yeah.
Like-
As long as someone can tune it, like.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, we don't even run fail safes on our shit.
definitely
Like,
not. Probably not.
yeah, fail safe. Keep an eye on that wideband. All
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Like, look at your fucking gauges while you're driving. Like, yeah, something bad could happen. I get it,
Yeah.
but I'd rather just, I don't know. I like older shit. I'd rather keep it like analog. I don't want to go into the new world.
It's
like,
literally the controller.
it is the controller too.
That it is
Yes.
for me, just because when I
feel
watch
that.
those videos, like the controller's right there
Dude,
every time.
I was telling, I don't know if I couldn't have been talking to them at Apexi. I was talking to like Jimmy Oaks or something. I was like, dude, if Link just made a Commander, how fucking hard is that? It's
Sick.
so easy to do. if one of these companies just made that, they would get all of us.
Well, it's so nice to be like done with a run. You see all of your peak values.
Yeah.
And then you can clear them.
Yep.
And now you're good for your next run.
Yeah.
It's like,
Without
okay.
having like a laptop, but obviously like
Yeah.
dashes, fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Game
True.
dashes and stuff have
You have, like, yeah.
capabilities for that.
Yeah, but I still feel like that's like a level above. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna rip my whole dash out. Well, for example, I would fucking never do that shit. Like, so
I think race dashes are cool, and then you get one for a while, and then I'm like my FD has
Oh, yeah, I
a race
remember.
pack in it, and it looks sweet in there. Don't get me wrong, but like then I get look in Derek's car, and I see like just the stock gauges in the FD look cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like, damn, this seems even like almost more race car than having a race dash.
yeah, because it's like older, but like, I feel like I get that vibe from you. Like, you like to kind of do some modern shit sometimes, but also like the older stuff too. So
Honestly, whatever makes sense,
Yeah.
And, like a lot of these cars I didn't build. Like,
Okay.
I bought them like that, and then
Put
yeah.
your own little
did my
twist
own
on
stuff
it.
here
Yeah.
and there, but
But
like I didn't put the race pack in
Okay.
my FD, so like that was I didn't do much to that car except coilovers and make it worse all around everywhere else.
dude, that car when it had the fucking GTR wheels.
It never really had those.
Okay, you just put them on. Like,
oh
for
yeah,
a
that was
photo?
only on one side, dude.
Dude,
Dude,
that shit
yeah, they were
looks
20s.
sick.
They were so
Yeah,
big.
no, I put
Yeah.
them on just to see, and I'm like, that would never work in any lifetime.
It looked so good though.
Wait, so which one of these is your main ship that you drift?
do you have a
Honestly,
Do you have a main?
I haven't had a main since I got rid of the Skyline. I haven't had a main.
So that's the car that Frankie kept. He's like, dude, just scroll down, find the Skyline. I'm like looking to your profile.
Yeah, I'm
"What
like scrolling
Skyline,
down.
Dude?
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, apparently Derek fucking hated this car.
No,
'cause I can't even find
I had
it.
that car for 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I after a while I knew that I wanted to be in an RX-7 again.
Uh-huh.
And so I got rid of it for an FC with an LS. And
Oh,
I
yikes.
drove the first street league with it, and I just wasn't a fan of the LS. It
Yeah.
wasn't like crazy powerful, and it wasn't that it was lacking power. It was an iron block, so I don't know if it made the car
Heavier?
No, I don't. It just pivoted different. It felt like, in my opinion.
Okay.
Could have just been in my head too, but I did one event, and I was like, I can't. It's not
yeah,
for me.
it's
And then
probably not going to act the same way as the Rotary. Like,
Yeah,
as far as the way the weight's
the weight's
transferred.
probably not much different, but it is, I think, positioned slightly farther forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
not that front.
I probably shouldn't feel that, but like it just, maybe it was the sounds too. I like driving.
Yeah.
I like driving a car with a clutch a lot. So like my 33 had a laggy 60-1 Garrett non-ball bearing, so like I had to really like
Yeah.
drive
Spool
the
that
car.
thing up
Yeah,
and
and it was fun, and so
And that was an RB25?
yeah.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, I loved seeing that. I don't know which final bout you guys went to, but one of those you went with that car.
I did 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So I either did 2 final bouts and then the gallery with it. I think I was up there maybe 3 times with it.
Yeah.
Was that car 2 different colors? Like, you painted it blue
So-
after?
When I first threw a kit on, I got like a Urus kit. And then,
Oh, okay.
And then we garage painted
two-tone.
it. We painted it like a teal green at
Yeah,
in
that's
B-Wag's
Oh,
garage.
yeah,
That's what I
right,
remember.
That's right.
It turned out like sandpaper, but
Yeah, we've all done that to
so
cars.
it was like that color for a while, and
Yeah, 'cause you had
then
a
and then I
different
did
you had the
BN,
RX-8 at the same time.
and then I did
so-
BN, and then that's when it got turned to actual breaking blue.
Yeah.
And I remember
And that's when I started drifting it.
I remember hearing something about, I think this was after the final bout and shit, but your quarter panel was dented, and you were
Oh,
like,
the football, dude.
The football.
Jesus. That's a still ongoing joke.
yeah. Refresh my memory, because like,
I don't actually know where it began, but
so
it just like S chassis, you know, you pull the fenders in the back too far and they'll pop
the
inward.
dent, yeah,
So my 33 did that
yeah.
because I pulled the wheels or the fenders out a lot to fit some like ABC exclusive 11 and a half wide, you know.
Just yeah,
And
pretty
and
large
it popped
wheels.
in and I couldn't get it out because the way those chassis are, you can't access in there like you can like an
Yeah.
S chassis.
And
It's
yeah,
all
that's
in
chassis.
caps.
You can
It's
get
like,
pretty far in there, but I put a football in mine too. So
so the
let's-
33 is like the rear shock tower boxes all that in. There's no way to access it. Like
Okay.
obviously you could start cutting holes and then getting in there, but
Yeah.
it stayed dented forever.
Yeah, a couple
And
seasons.
at some point on Facebook or something, someone was like, all right, you know, I posted a picture of the car and like 30 different people were like, you know, you could put a football in there. And then it just like,
So we
turned
all
into
ran
a-
with it, of
yeah.
course, and every time we would like see him, be like, "Hey, you know,
Yeah. Okay, so that was the joke. So everyone was
Yeah.
just fucking busting your balls.
Yeah, but I don't, it's like one of those things, you know, how like something can have 30 comments, but you only see like 2.
Yeah.
So like they didn't see that 20 other people have already
Said the same
recommended
thing.
that. So it was just like,
Dude, I don't know, man. Your Facebook and Instagram probably gave me a lot of entertainment over the last 10 years. So I want to thank you for that.
oh,
But-
that was back in my drinking days. Things
Dude.
were, yeah, it was off the wall.
Yeah, dude, it was some funny fucking times. But yeah, I ended up putting a football in my fucking quarter panel, and it did kind of help.
I feel like another friend of mine did the same thing, and I feel like this came into this is so fucking weird
That
that,
shit
we're
might still
mentioning
be in
that.
there though. Even with the over fender, I don't think I took that shit out.
That's
It's just working the whole
wild
time.
to me, but yeah. that came up recently because somebody else had a dent in their quarter, or might have been their fender or their door, and I literally was like, might have said it just like that. I'm like, you know, you could put a football in there, and now I'm like, fuck.
That's
feel
like
an
one of
idiot.
those like old Zilvia recommendations that people probably just stumble upon.
yeah, it was stickied somewhere."
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a good fucking idea, to be honest with you.
No,
But-
that
I think it's a legit like body shop trick because there's like a tool that has like a hand pump. I think that they buy that
Yeah.
resembles
It's like an
essentially a
airbag,
football.
yeah.
The thing is, like, that dent was not getting pushed out with that football. That's all I remember. I remember, like,
I
I
mean,
put
unless I left it inflated in there.
exactly.
You know?
That's what you have to do. Like, that's why I think my car still has that shit in there. But yeah, I just remember that. I was like, I need to ask him about this. Another thing I need to ask you guys: who decided the wheel color?
Derek Bianski. I'd
Yeah,
say.
yeah. So, actually, I think DK at the time, like, I got the car, wanted to change the wheels like pretty like quick because you know I wanted to make it mine, and I was kind of like thinking about different colors and stuff, and he said that something popped up on Zip Tide, and I want to say I think it was like Powers or somebody was selling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
that
was-
makes sense.
Yeah, he was selling some like 57Ds or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd already seen an FC that was in Japan on that colorway. It was blue with luminous wheels, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
like
and that was back when it wasn't really like popular here.
yeah,
It was like just starting.
yeah. I think at the time the only wheels that were like available in that color were the Graham Lights
Yep.
and maybe some Weds and like the Wed Sports, and like a lot of those didn't really make it over here for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So like I ended up just getting some secondhand wheels, and then it just I don't know, like it kind of naturally happened. So it like worked really well because I had chrome wheels on it before, which like I really liked, but like they just didn't seem like that's what it needed to be, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah. I was like, all right, motorsports
it wasn't
wheel.
spicy enough.
Dude,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy. It's crazy because it's like I feel like that is something that would be hard to get all your friends on board with. You know what I mean? But
I could never
for some reason all
with
you
you,
guys are
dude.
down.
His car was really cool, like right away with those. So it was pretty much like, I mean, it was the coolest car at Drift Indy events. You know,
Yeah.
he showed up with it wasn't even stock body. It was like all stock with like a, front bumper?
Yeah,
Like
I had like a C West front bumper, like feed skirts, like it had like different
Oh
stuff.
yeah, it did have like the feed like side steps.
Yeah,
like
but like
side
it was like
steps.
stock,
yeah, just
pretty
like stock and
body, just
yeah.
really low with you had the 57
57Ds in the
Fs.
D's in the front and then the forged in the rear.
Okay.
It's always been 17, 18 stagger. So just like
That's cool.
trying to keep like the nose, like the front of the car down low while it's sliding still, just because they kind of dip quite a bit, like just from the factory, like they squat quite a bit. So.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about FDs as far as like wheel fitments. Is 17, 18 kind of like a popular thing?
I think kind of standard nowadays is like 18s all around. That's
Really?
always kind of been the thing, but I knew that like anytime I would like see them even like in Japan when they had 18s on the front, it looked kind of tall.
Yeah, I don't
and
like
I didn't
18s
want
on any of
that
these
look.
cars.
Yeah.
In the front.
Well, that and like I knew if I ran like a 17, like I still had a like decent amount of room and I could put a decent tire on it. So
Yeah.
like I'm not rubbing like running rubber bands and like rubbing everywhere. It still rubs even with the 17s.
Yeah.
Like it's made a lot of room over the years, like through just like
Self-clearancing.
yeah, for sure. Like lower control
But dude,
arm,
you put
like-
18s on there, it's like, oh fuck, now it's
Yeah.
contacting everything.
Well, yeah, you just have to like put it up in the air at that point. You know, I'm not up in the air, but it just
Yeah.
has to be a little bit higher, and like that kind of wasn't something I really wanted to like
yeah.
do at the.
I
Still
think
don't want to do, but yeah,
17, 18 is the way. If the car looks good with it, like that's
yeah.
I
I've
think
al- Go
it's
ahead.
crazy just because you're like, did it evolve into this? It's always like, I don't know. I might just be reflecting it to mine, but like I feel like I was on a wrong path, then I jumped back on the right path, then back wrong, then back on right, and then just like hopping back and forth on what I think is correct.
I don't personally think he's ever had a bad version of
That's what I'm about to ask. Is like, was there ever a regretful mod
it.
that
It
you
got
did?
rough sometimes with like broken arrow, but like it looked really cool still.
Yeah, still probably right.
Yeah.
Like, damn, man.
I mean, a lot of just like. I'm pretty nerdy about it, so like I obsessed
That's
over
why I
like
like that car.
getting. Yeah, well, like I just like
you could tell.
obsessed over like each piece and like kind of envisioning them in my head, like how they would look, and like then like waiting sometimes years in order to find like certain pieces, like aero pieces and stuff, just because it was hard to get stuff in the States or whatever. So like it was definitely really thought out, but like there was times where it was very rough. I mean, quarters got punched in or broken skirts from, you know, mistakes sliding off or dirt dropping or whatever. So like it's definitely seen like some stages that were pretty rough, but like I definitely like felt like very like intentional on a lot of the decisions I made.
Yeah.
Damn.
I feel like we were just talking about this with someone else about how, you know how I was saying like, it's, you want to keep your car looking good and everything, which this is a perfect example.
Bro, that was literally us on the way here, dude. We were having this conversation. It was me.
It's hard, man. It's a
It was
battle.
me you were having a conversation with.
You sure?
Yes, because
It was just
I believe
600
you.
miles ago.
Yeah, it was-
exactly.
I have a thing, and I might have just learned this from Frankie, because like a lot of people are super focused on just like dooring each other and having a demo derby, and like I don't know. There's a part of me where since I work hard on something, I want it to look good. I want it to slide and look that way that I pictured in my head, that I don't really want somebody to just come tank my shit. That doesn't mean I don't want to drive and I don't want to have a good time, but like I need it to look good all the time. It could be a hunk of shit to other people, but to me, if it looks good, that's good to me.
Which is like
so arrow on all the time.
yeah.
Even if it's broken, I'll repair it in the pit with the blue duct tape roll that I have.
Yeah.
Repair it, put it back on the car. My IS is blue as well, which is funny
Yeah,
because
you
I was
guys
like,
would actually, yeah.
yep,
You'd just get some green wheels, you'd be all right.
they're not green. They're like
Yeah.
yellow.
In my head, they're green, but
Well,
yeah, they're not.
I wanted some luminous
Luminous,
stuff like that
luminous.
too, just because I feel like it's not rowdy enough with my plain white wheels.
But, like,
and I
don't-
think it's funny that you said you had chrome, because I was like, damn, I would like chrome wheels.
Yeah. But like that's like your signature look now, like the
Yeah, dude.
banner
That's
and
exactly-
the wheels. Like, and I'll be straight up honest. If it was any other group of, I don't think they would nail it.
Dude,
Like,
I
you
didn't even
guys
know there was
fucking
flames
nailed
on
this
it.
shit. I don't know how because
For a long while.
He nails it. I just kind of ride the coattails.
Yeah. But I've seen your Skyline, so it was
he
sick.
pretends like no, everything that like from like his 911 to
Yeah.
his FD to whatever he builds, like it still has like those characteristics of like a hard street car.
Yeah.
and like that's what gets us excited. Like,
Exactly.
comp cars are so cool and they can be really neat and done like so professionally. But like, there's a difference between like something that only exists on the track versus something that like you can see it in a city, you can see it going down the street late at night. Like,
Yep.
there's just a different like feeling that it gives, and like that's always something that's like, I don't know, kind of excited me because like it has like a duality to it. Like, does it
Yeah.
look sick on the street and it looks sick on the track? Like, to me, like I'm trying to optimize like the amount of time that I can spend with like that vehicle.
Yeah. No, you said exactly how I feel.
Yeah, holy crap.
That's
That
the
was
same
like,
exact way.
brilliant.
Like I
What the
want
fuck?
the car to look. It's more important how it looks on the street than anything else to me. Like I want it to look like a cool. Like you see it driving down the highway, you're like, that shit's sick. Not
See,
like
I feel silly sometimes because like since it's like the yellow and blue, like
Yeah,
since it's
yeah.
such high contrast,
It is
sometimes,
kinda like a
I'm
racy look,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like very like boy racerish. But I mean that has to do with like me getting older. I think a little bit too. Like I'm a little
Yeah.
more like self-conscious of it because I was like, man, I'm driving a huge like RC car.
Yeah,
but
I mean, that's
I love
how
it
you-
at the same time.
it's kind of how you feel when you put like vinyl on the car too. You know, because then you're like, is this car even like should I be driving this shit? I'm kind of old. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
To
But like you guys literally like. That's basically where I was going with this whole
I
thing with the
don't.
wheel
I mean, you
color.
could be 40 years old driving that around and feeling like a kid, or you could be 40 years old yelling at a TV screen because your football team didn't score.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's
I was
all
about
just,
to say-
it's all just different stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure,
if
for
it's
sure.
something
We're
that
all-
you
we're all still
truly,
kids, really,
truly
you know?
love, like I feel like it's important to play to that side of you where you're like, this is the shit I wanted when I was a kid.
Yeah, that too.
That like if you're not making yourself happy with that, I feel like it's not really like you're not really making yourself happy. Then you're not like living up to what you wanted to do. You know?
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, because there's definitely like parts of me still that like I'll walk into the grocery store, and it's not like I take it there very often, but there's sometimes where I'm like out, like
Yeah.
I'll be over at like Derek's or something, and I'm like driving home, and I need to like pick something up, and then like on the way back out, or as I'm walking away, I'm kind of like, all right,
yeah.
Like,
That's that
yeah,
feeling,
Like,
dude.
that's that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like,
like,
you hear a
yes.
song playing, like you had to go somewhere, then you hear a song playing or something on TV, and you're like, I'm gonna take the fucking drift car to go get milk. Like, yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, because I got to go down that one road. Yeah,
For me, it's like, I don't know. This is also might sound stupid, but if the 3/4 view of a car, you know, when you walk away from it,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
and that 3/4 view,
So important.
It's like the most important view to me.
Yeah.
If something about the car looks weird in that view, then it's just gonna bother me forever.
Mine is the side profile.
You like the side
Yeah,
profile?
silhouette.
100%.
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Like, this the side of the car is if that's not perfect, like if it's too high or too low in one part, like
I think that's probably why I like rotaries, because all of them have that profile. Like if you look at that, that's an FB right under there,
It's an essay, but same thing.
or
pretty
SA.
much,
Sorry,
yeah.
but it has that.
the fact that you even
sports
knew
car
that
shape.
shit, like what? I would have been like,
undercover.
Well, there's a common trend around
Yeah,
here,
yeah, that
so
would
I
have been
kind of
the
just
only way.
assumed
Yeah.
that it was. But it has that shape, you know, of like a race car. And like I don't think that'll ever get old. At least, hopefully, to any of us, because
Yeah.
fuck, if we don't have that, then what the hell do we got?
It's like that idea of like a kind of like front engine rear drive. Like
Yeah.
typically like the seating's like back a little bit further. It has
Yeah,
a
it's
little
kind
bit
of the
longer
textbook
nose. Yeah.
silhouette of
Yeah.
that in a way.
It's like Hot Wheel silhouette.
But on the contrary, DK, you have a front wheel drive like car. It's like it. I don't really know. Like I wouldn't have guessed that you would
yeah,
have.
right. Like we don't know where you're going.
Yeah, I'm
with all
like,
these
damn, you
cars.
just like to try a bunch of shit.
That was Camden's, one of our teammates' car.
Oh, okay.
And he got that, I think, when he was probably before they were legal in the U.S.
Okay.
Allegedly.
But
Yeah.
So
Alright,
that one's the only one that's bagged in here. So like I feel like that's a special car.
It's really nice.
probably the coolest one I got.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, you got some cool stuff here.
Yeah. You know what I want to talk about, that red FC outside.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that one? What's the story with that?
So that was an old Risky Devil car.
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw the junk house
That was
sticker.
David Lee's car back in the day.
Oh, okay.
And then it got parted, slightly pieced back together, and then one of his Risky Devil teammates ended up with it in Ann Arbor, and then it was it's a basket case.
Okay.
And then I traded my S2000 for it recently
Okay.
with hopes to maybe revive it, but it's kind of on the back burner. Who knows how long? But
I mean, you got a lot of fucking projects here.
You traded
so.
a whole ass S2000
for an RX-7.
for an RX-7,
Yeah,
and then you use the
Captain
word
Brain Damage.
basket case. I'm like, damn, something's not adding up here.
No, it doesn't around here.
It's a passion. It's a passion. There's a garage of passion in here.
Dude,
but
yeah.
like, I don't know, man. That to me, that's sick. Just because I know one day, hopefully, it'll get used for something.
Yeah.
You seem to not like to sell stuff, so
Yeah, that's
that's
a problem.
good.
That's one of my biggest faults, I'd say.
I
is
know
that
I know you don't have a realistic number, but if you had to take a guess on how many cars you owned.
Oh, good luck.
Owned?
Someone asked me today, and I have them all written down, so I just took a picture of that and
do?
sent it to him.
Okay.
It was like 22, I think,
That's it?
between me and my wife. Yeah.
No,
20.
that's right now. How many?
No, right now.
Not like.
Oh, I meant
all of-
like
Oh, ever?
yeah.
Oh, like right now
Oh.
you have 22.
yeah, just so
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
heard that.
Oh.
Right now he's got 22 cars.
Oh. I was like, 22 sounds like a low
Oh,
number for his
ever.
lifetime.
Yeah, I don't know whatever it is.
It's probably got to be in the hundreds.
You think?
It's definitely over 100.
I feel like getting
Probably
cars
over
is
100 since I've
but
done
like,
it for sure.
I don't. That's the thing is like, I have 20 some now because like I don't like to get rid of them. So
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
of course I'll buy something that I'm like, oh, I thought I'd like this and it was cool, but I'm over it for now. You
Yeah.
know? So
It's typically like an exchange. It's
yeah,
like
you swap cars a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Trade them. Yeah, I mean, so knowing you through Instagram for the most part, I didn't know what to expect when we came here. But then when we came here, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot
Bro,
of
I was
fucking
just
cars.
woke up. I literally was like having a coffee. Frankie's like looking for the house.
I was like, yeah, they'll have some cool cars there.
I'm like, I
whatever.
see a
Not that many.
FB over there. Are you sure it might not be that one?
Yeah. So
But-
no, it's awesome, dude. It's so cool to see. Like, I don't know, like you don't really see this in Jersey, like a
You said that
collection like this.
so much because again, yeah, you don't.
Yeah, I mean it's a space thing too. Like, I mean we talked about prices for shops and whatnot.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Everything's a lot of money in that area, so like no one really has space to store anything. So like,
And I feel like drifting's different over there, dude. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just
Do
saying,
they have
like-
takeovers here? Is that a thing here?
it's like caught on the last couple
yeah,
summers.
I've never seen one happening.
Neither have
here.
we. We have not been
Yeah.
in one.
Yeah.
Maybe
like
it's
where
just
you get
not
caught.
real. It's all fake.
yeah, right.
It's
Yeah,
all
right.
smoke and
That's a
mirrors. That's what
psyop.
the media wants you to believe.
It's an industry plant.
That's
but-
what we prefer to think that those are. Just
Yeah.
like kind of a non-factor.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you don't see them happening, then yeah, just keep thinking they're fake.
That's good.
I mean, we see the cars like when we're street driving and stuff. We
Yeah.
get revved at by them, but
Yep.
like
Revved at.
outside of that, we don't really fuck with it. So.
Dude, they would light your shit up if they saw that driving down. Yo, come over here, follow us.
Nah,
Yeah.
that shit scares me.
Me too, but-
I mentioned that because, like, would you say the drifting community has gotten like, I don't know, do you enjoy it more now, or do you enjoy it? Or what aspects did you enjoy about drifting more back then than now? So I feel like it's definitely changed, but I'm curious to hear from you
I'm
guys.
very curious.
So at a young age, you know, when you're learning to drift and
Yeah.
doing that and no one else is doing it, it's kind of like being the dude that could tray flip a six
Yep.
set of stairs or
Oh,
something.
That's
damn,
a perfect
yeah.
fucking comparison.
I've never been able to do, mind you, but like that was the difference between the guy who's pushing around a longboard and the guy tray flipping.
I was
set
a
of stairs.
longboarder.
And so, like, I think being a drifter kind of made you feel like a badass, you know,
Yeah, it was
especially
like-
when you'd go to autocross and get kicked out because you were drifting.
'Cause you're drifting.
Whether you were knocking over cones or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it made you definitely feel, you know, even though nobody even knew what it was, you personally were like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
I feel the same way. Even when I started drifting, I feel like that was the same thing.
And like on a big scale, you know, you can walk into a parts store and you're seeing drifting
Yeah.
or I mean, it's on every commercial
Dude,
almost now.
Now
So
everybody knows
it's
what.
still very mainstream, or it has become mainstream. But like on the scale of things, it's not like we know every guy drifting in Fort Wayne probably.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think so.
So-
for the most part.
There's probably, I would say in Fort Wayne, 30 people doing it now.
Yeah, that are
Maybe
like consistently
yeah,
going
maybe
to events.
maybe even more actually.
Yeah.
And like
It's cool.
when I started, there was just me for probably at least 2 years. I was the only one in town going drifting,
yeah.
yeah,
and then I'd say you
yeah,
were next probably.
yeah, like me and Caleb, pretty much.
Yeah.
yeah.
What annoys me that I noticed is that I feel like a lot of people are just doing this shit for the clip, doing it for the video.
Yeah, but they come and go.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
that happens. I
Yeah.
mean, hell, I mean, I remember even seeing guys that like did it. You know, I guess when Instagram was like kind of blowing up, like there would be dudes, you know, with all of a sudden like a bajillion followers that are really doing it and having a really cool car all of a sudden really quick and like doing well, and then next thing you know, they're just gone. They're
Yeah.
just out because
Huh.
it was like a phase. It was legit a phase, you know.
Yeah. The wild thing is like, I'll see somebody do some wild shit. I sent Frankie a video. It's a spot that I knew of. It was by my old parents' house. I think I sent it to you. Mm-hmm. And like, it may be somebody drifting for the clip, but I watched the driving and I'm like, damn, he's like kind of a good driver.
Yeah, the guy you're talking about is literally the type of person that would do that for a clip, but he actually shreds, so it's annoying.
Yeah, so it's
I know
annoying.
what you're
It's
saying.
not annoying because you're like, nah, I mean, I guess it is.
Well,
kind
it
of
is
annoying.
kind of annoying because it's like we don't. I can't even say that. I'll be a hypocrite. I was gonna say like we don't want to put our spot on blast, but the thing is like that was midday.
Yeah, there's
You could
traffic.
see everything.
There's
Yeah.
traffic coming
There's a
the
way to go
opposite
about it.
direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I,
yeah.
No
like we've-
spotters, no nothing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we have like me, Josh from Front Street, like we have put clips up before of us hitting a spot, but like unless you are really from the area, you're not gonna fucking know where it is.
Yeah,
It's in the middle of the
no,
night.
It's there's an etiquette, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And like even with like I guess the question that you asked before with like Derek, like how it makes you feel like when you first started and what's different. Like honestly, like for me, it doesn't feel that different because
That's the vibe
like,
I'm getting from you guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, we're still doing the same things that we did 10 years ago. We're working in the garage. We're driving to the events. We're meeting new homies. We're having a good time. Like, either competing or not competing, like, no matter what, like, kind of at the end of the day, like, we're just enjoying, like, this thing that we enjoy a lot.
Hell
And
yeah.
If more people are into it, that's cool. But also, if not, like, that's also cool because, like, we like it a lot because we like it.
Yeah, dude.
Like-
It's I was getting that vibe from you guys the whole night. And like I knew that question was gonna come up. And I was like really interested, like, how are they gonna view drifting nowadays compared to old? And I was like, I bet they're gonna say
I feel like it doesn't
feels
matter
the same.
to you guys because you're just
Yeah.
like, we're already doing it.
I mean, it's definitely like more accessible, and there's a lot more people there, which is
Okay.
good and bad.
Yeah.
because you're going to see the people that you know. Like you can sometimes you see people, and you're like, all right, I know you're going to be around for the next 10 years. Or you can see somebody that's like you were talking about earlier, like very good or like talented and like can really wheel. And like it's kind of a fly by night kind of thing. It's
Kinda
like
not,
all right,
not
yeah.
doing it for the same reasons.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean that's fine. Like if that's what you want to do, like that's on you. But like
It's like it's like people want to try something new, and some might happen to be really good, and it's like, oh, even though I'm really killing this, it's still maybe not for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
you know, at the
absolutely.
end of the day.
And
And
different things in life happen too. Like you lost your teammate, and like
Yeah.
maybe that time, maybe that was the right move for him mentally or what have you. But like, yeah, I do understand that it sometimes doesn't. You don't see it till the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a million things like family things, work things. Like there's so many other things like outside of this
Yeah.
that are huge factors because it's not a cheap like hobby.
No.
So like yeah. So like the amount of like, sacrifice that you put into it, like not everyone makes it through that. And like sometimes that's good because like
Yeah.
it can cause like mental health issues or
Yeah.
like different
That-
things.
I
where-
Or
literally
it can
have-
help, or it could help mental health.
yeah,
issues,
exactly,
like-
exactly. It's like there's a duality to it for sure.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
one of those things where like sometimes like after I haven't driven a while, I'm just like whatever, and then I'll go drive and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I remember how much I enjoy
Ye-
this. Like I'm
Oh,
driving
yes.
home on the street, enjoying my car. Like the car's driving fine and made it through the whole weekend. Like I had some like good tandems with the homies, like or whatever it was, and like that 5 or 8 or 2 whatever hour drive is just like very
Bliss.
It's like it's like this
Yeah.
is a successful drive home, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to work tomorrow on Monday, and like I'm chilling, like
Yeah.
this is good.
Yeah.
That's so
It's
damn, bro.
It's very refreshing to hear.
Bro,
you
you're
guys
hitting like
talk
all the
about that
points
shit.
just because. Yeah,
For
no,
some
that is-
reason, for some reason, I feel like by us, we have this other feeling where we're like, we're not enjoying the new age drifters and stuff.
I think it's just because it's a lot more saturated by us, and then we're
I do feel
exposed
that
to the
way,
things
too.
that aren't good.
But
About
I
it.
also talking to them, I also realize it has a lot to do with yourself. You know what I mean? Like how you view it. And
I
if we're
guess, yeah.
viewing it like that, then that's on us.
Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, for example, like, let's say, we all are into having enjoyable looking cars.
yeah.
Obviously, that's always debatable on who you are and
Yeah.
what you think looks cool. But we obviously have a general idea of what we like to be
Yeah.
around and what we like to see on track.
Mm-hmm.
Race cars look cool because they get raced.
Yeah.
And so our idea of drift cars is, shares the same idea as I think guys in our generation that learned about drifting when that's what the cars look like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's always going to be the new age guys that have the bash bar cars or whatnot.
The football helmet.
Yeah.
That's a really good name for that.
I didn't do that. Somebody made a meme and said, when the football helmet 350Z
Shows up.
wants the
I saw
tandem
that.
with you.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
That's
I'm
funny.
like,
it took me a second to
ooh.
get that because I didn't get it. I
Yeah.
thought it meant like something else about like the guy wearing a football helmet. And then like finally it like clicked and I'm like, the car looks like a football.
Yeah.
Look who's the idiot now.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to talk about that. I mean, I feel like we're leading into another realm of the conversation where like some people are changing styles.
Yeah, I had this conversation recently just because
The cars are getting taller.
cars
this
are
and
getting
that.
taller. People are running different setups.
Yeah.
I think so. I met a few people who follow the podcast who are from here. Smooth Brain, they have red cars, and they're into that close driving, which is kind of crazy to me. And I've been like, dude, you guys are crazy.
But what?
And
do
their
you
cars
mean-
are beat up.
What do you mean close? You mean just like aggressive tandems?
A
and whatnot?
very aggressive tandem. That's their goal, is to get close.
Okay.
And like, it doesn't really, like, it's a completely different thought process to me because my goal is I'm going to go out there and drive my absolute best. So I want my front grip. I want my rear grip. I have it set up this way, this way, this way. And then you talk to them and then we're exchanging like information on like what you're running, and like they're young. And I'm like, how are they figuring this out? It's probably
you were
just
telling me some
trial and error.
crazy
Like
shit.
high PSI in the front so that everybody can scrub the same. Like, and it's just like shit that I would have never thought of.
Yeah. Same.
Like that new age is weird just because drifting doesn't really have, it's subjective, you know? There's no right, there's no wrong, but yet it still continues to progress
Do
somehow.
they drive cars like the front street cars are now? Like that
well, like
height?
the high? No. I
No?
mean, are they high? They're not really
They're
too
local
high.
here.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
cars have gradually gotten higher.
Higher
I'd
and
say.
higher and higher, probably
Yeah.
with the goal in mind.
Yeah.
All cool dudes, very young. They're going to be on the podcast in BMI in October. September.
Nice.
Now.
Yeah.
Oh,
so-
Yeah.
Yeah, like how do you guys, I mean, I know how you guys feel about it, but let's go through it. Like how do you guys feel about that whole driving style, like high cars?
I think it's
fucking
like,
Mahon shit.
So it's the same thing we've seen with pro drifting.
Okay.
I guess you could call it progression, or I don't really know what it is, but the pro cars gradually got higher,
More
yeah.
powerful.
softer, and more powerful, and to a point it was good, and then to a point it exceeded what was good.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying aesthetically, but overall, like you're now finally seeing drivers speak up about it's too much.
Yeah.
And the cars are overly gripped up.
Uh-huh.
That's the battle now, I think, that we're seeing with the guys, the style guys transitioning into the more performance side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'll start to come back eventually because
I think so too.
It's cycles.
I mean, and they're excited that they're getting more performance out of their cars, which racing cars is fun. That's what you do with a real race car. Try to get the most you can out of it. So that's just what's happening with drift cars now. But I think there's a point where it exceeds too much, and the pros are even seeing it. And so eventually, with the style of cars that people are now jacking up the fronts and whatnot, there is eventually going to be a point that they go too far.
Yeah.
Like for example, like you have like Forsberg like speaking out, like not speaking out, but like bringing up the topic and being like, these cars are so wound up that like we could even put on like a better show if they weren't at that point.
Yeah.
And like seeing someone that's as seasoned as him, that's been in like drifting since really like
The
very
beginning.
beginning,
And
it's-
started
and-
from something we can
Exactly.
relate to.
Yeah,
Which is like probably a KA car.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So to have someone with like that much experience being like, hey, this would actually be better. Like, I feel like sometimes for Derek and I, like it kind of not solidifies, but like gives us like an idea of like, okay, like we're not just holding on to this thing because like it's only style. It's only this. It's only that. It's not just a preference thing. It's
Yeah.
like a lot of that driving most of the time, in my opinion, can be done with cars that, you know, are on the lower side. Like I've seen old clips of like Naoki at Meehan and like he's shredding, you know,
Dude,
maybe
when the car was low and looked so sick.
well, you know, maybe it was like 10 mile an hour slower.
Yeah,
but for me, like maybe, you know, maybe that's just my preference, but like I prefer that.
I like
those
to
are the
see it
videos
that way. Yeah,
those are the
Yeah,
videos I
like-
go to if someone talks
Yeah.
about that shit.
Or like the cars like that were low, like at Osaka Docks, or just like
Yeah.
kind of like all of that era.
and
Like,
obviously it's an opinion thing, but
yeah, 100%.
I think it's like literally textbook evolution, right? Like FD.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
I
in
was watching
cycles,
one of the
yeah.
early FDs where I think Ken Gucci still had the Mustang. It was like, I don't know. It was a G4 TV
Yeah, yeah.
episode.
Probably like
And
0405.
The cars ranged from like an
4AGE.
S2000,
Yeah.
yeah, 4AGE, like Corolla, a KAT, and then a Viper.
Viper.
Like, what- and I think the Viper was Sam Hubinet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like that Viper was a equivalent part of drifting evolution because it was the fastest car there, aside from that Reese Millen GTO. And don't think I know a lot about the history. I just know this one.
I was sitting here like, damn, Carl.
I just know this
you
one
fucking know a lot of shit.
episode.
I was
But
like, go on, go on.
those cars were so high powered, right? And they performed. So
Yeah.
what are the competitors gonna do, right? They're gonna be like, oh, okay,
Well, yeah,
that performs, so let me up my shit.
It's obviously-
and then it just went up and up
Yeah.
and up and
I mean,
up.
we ran into this issue even in our Street League series.
Okay.
Just recently, we had, we have payouts.
Okay.
Which I didn't even pay attention to that. I wasn't even really aware. I just kind of canceled it out of my head. But
Yeah.
we 2 events ago, it wasn't so prominent at the last event because we kind of tried to crack down on it and straighten the guys out. But 2 Street Leagues ago, we had a Denofa clinic the day before.
Okay.
And of course, he's talking about how to wick these cars up and grip them up a bunch. So then go figure the next day at Street League, all these cars are just gripped up. And it's evident because they're having problems turning their tires over because they're typically 400 horsepower-ish
Yeah.
cars, 300, maybe 200 in Miatas.
Ooh, that's nice.
and
That's a nice
so
group.
we're seeing guys, we have tire rules, so like the cars aren't that gripped up, but like after his clinic, all these guys start turning knobs and stuff, and then they're having problems tandeming because their cars are
shit
too
just
gripped up.
straightening out.
Their cars are too gripped up to chase and make the corrections you need to
Yeah.
win and chase. And the competition kind of sucked. Like the driving just wasn't there like normal, and it was like kind of sickening to me because like I want to see everyone
Shred.
It's more of an exhibition comp
Yeah.
than a real comp. So like seeing that kind of transform was very irritating.
Yeah, and
so,
right in front of you, too.
Yeah, so we
Like-
we had to have like essentially a meeting with our drivers and like not that day, but we had like a pep talk.
What do you
Yeah.
what do you say in that situation?
I think it's like a thing. Like,
Well, I yell at them and tell them that they didn't look very good.
Yeah, I
you know,
guess.
and they know, you
Yeah.
can't, and then,
I mean,
they all want to do well. So like they
Yeah.
see their media and they're like, man, that doesn't look that good because I'm like way shallow there and I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And then,
So you just come in, you're like, all right, guys, you all fucked up.
That's literally
I mean,
Pretty
you.
much.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
literally you. If you ran a drift event
Yeah.
or a series,
Yeah, I guess I'm
guys,
just-
you guys all fucking sucked last round.
Yeah,
Like, that's
that
kinda
truck
crazy.
sounded sick.
That's why you see all the like
Still going.
semi videos.
Yeah. So
But,
the
yeah.
garage is right behind a highway, so that's why occasionally you hear
I
a
fucking
truck.
love it, dude.
Yeah,
I would
that
probably
shit
be
was
sitting
sick.
here like that was a fucking Peterbilt.
Yeah, one of the
break
best
it.
parts about driving out here is the trucks.
yeah,
Dude,
that's
there
some good
were a
stuff.
shitload of trucks. But
Yeah.
not to veer away from the topic. It's another thing that I've not to make this podcast the Carl show, but literally like I've been having a problem because everybody now with getting exposure from the podcast has an opinion that they want to give me.
Oh yeah, that,
Right? And so me being me, I like to always make sure I'm listening. You never know what piece of information somebody can give you. But at the same time, if you get so many fucking opinions and you try every single fucking one, you're never going to just do what you want to do and what works for you, which
Yeah.
I think is important.
You'll get a lot of opinions from like false experience.
Yes,
So,
and like you never
a
know.
lot of people like to like. It happened in the forum days. Like everyone that's read
Oh my
every forum
God.
post now is like the lead mechanic on that car that's ever existed outside of like the OEM. So like, that exists within everything. So like there's that person that feels like they need to speak up and tell you what to do. Like there's no replacement for
How often
like,
you guys
for
get
like
that?
actual
Football.
like, actual experience.
Experience.
Yeah.
The
Just, like,
football.
yeah, like seat time will always like reign supreme, or like even sim time. Like that's.
Are you guys a
something-
sim type of?
I was
Group?
doing some iRacing, but not drifting stuff. I was doing the
Yeah,
road racing
I did
stuff.
some Assetto stuff. I should honestly like. I like playing, but just like honestly, I like skating more. So
there you go.
like with my free time, I'm like, I could be out in the garage or I could be skating. Like I play like probably more in the winter. Like I enjoy it, and I definitely felt like it's like helped with some bad habits that I've had. Like I can definitely tell with like even with like tandem stuff. Like I definitely feel more comfortable in tandem through that as far as like pushing up on people and things. Like I feel like it's definitely a very useful tool, but it is definitely like still a little detached from
It's a
actually
tool.
driving. Yeah, it's
It's a
a tool,
tool.
for sure. For
I feel
sure.
like
The
a lot of
hand-eye stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
It all
yeah.
helps.
I feel like what a lot of people, the problem is, and I was telling you about this. I have a friend of mine. His name's Ethan. Damn, I'm just gonna fucking shit on him real quick. Sorry, buddy. But he has a sick S13. It's built really great. The Hayes guys built it. It's a really fucking sweet car. They did a dope job on it. 400 horsepower. Like not everybody, but I feel like a lot of people could just get in that car and go. But he's never really drifted before, and I feel like since it's so souped up, you don't really know what to do about it. And in a Assetto, you're jiggling the pedal like this a bunch of times, and like in the car, I know he's doing it. I'm literally telling him to stop letting off because he's doing this. And the game, as much as it's a good thing, could be a bad thing because it develops the bad habits. Where like you think the car is just going to automatically spool up, like it doesn't take into that real.
I feel like that though is easier to correct than
You
just
think?
trying to teach someone how to do it. Period.
Yeah.
With no sim.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, he was drifting. So.
Yeah, so I feel like it's easier to dial back those bad habits than it is to be like, hey, here's how you actually link. To
Oh
corners,
yeah, dude.
you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that. Yeah, there's bad habits that can be picked up from
Yeah.
the sim, but at the same time, it's like it's better to like back those down.
Yeah.
Like this is an instance where it's okay to overdo it.
Yeah.
And bring it back instead of like false confidence, go out
And
your
then just-
first time in your car and put it in the wall and be like, well, no dialing it back from that because it's
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, that is true.
That is, that's very, very, very. Because now that I think about it, I mean, something that I don't really give him credit for is that his progression was so fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. That I mean, like
That's something I've
Anthony.
noticed.
Like we have another close friend of ours.
Yeah,
who's,
you've seen it too. Yeah,
he
it's
just,
crazy.
It's like the progression is just. Remember, we had him on the podcast, and we're talking about how long he's been drifting, and he's like, "Yeah, I got the car in November," and I'm thinking like we're talking about years ago, literally fucking this past November.
Yeah.
Dude,
And he's out there doing front course,
cool to
tree
see.
turn.
Like I love seeing like kids get it like that early because
So
like
fast.
they didn't have the years of like having one drift event every
Yeah.
2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Like not having that opportunity. So like I love like seeing that because like there's that like kind of like I don't know, for me it's like a fire and like a next generation and that they're really excited about it. So
Yeah.
that's like really cool. But then I think kind of like the like opposite end of that where like they end up like buying old drift cars that are like really hooked up.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah. It's
Yeah, we
like-
have a ton of that,
Like
too.
when we were young, like Derek and I were first starting, like you had to build your car because like drift cars like just didn't exist out there. Like you
Yeah.
could find some on the forums and stuff, but like it wasn't just something that you could like, oh, like I know 3 people right now that all have like cars that are for sale that like you could go rip.
yeah.
But so like I guess there's just like that natural progression that exists.
I'll take their names down, please.
And I'm still like living in the past too with that because people will ask me like, oh yeah, so I got this car, it's a Z, I got the full GK Tech angle kit. I was like, did you put it on yet? He's like, no. I'm like, how about you just don't do that for a while,
Yeah,
like just
yeah.
learn how to drive it like that. And some people will listen, but then other people will just throw it all on. And
Well, some people just have different.
And I'm thinking, you know what? This is what I meant by like living in the past. Like I'll tell them to be like, oh yeah, just like get a 240 and do this, and it's like, well,
You can't
really
do that.
buy
Yeah,
a
yeah,
240.
You
yeah.
can't do that
That's
anymore,
like
brother.
Yeah, that's a different time period that doesn't
Yeah.
really exist anymore.
You
It's
have been
crazy.
gone, dude.
Oh, I haven't had to buy a car in a while. You know what I mean? Like so.
That's where like I'm buying like used parts for my car nowadays. And
Bruh.
I'm like,
Good.
I'm just like, wow, they're that much now.
Yeah.
Like,
That's-
and I was like, I really wish I would have like kept some of that stuff that
I
I
know.
kind of like just discarded at the time.
We're starting to hoard Nissan parts because Nissan finally just realized that they could
Yeah.
like quadruple the price of things and get away with it. So now we're like, I'm not even gonna say the part on here, but we're just like grabbing like I'm like, oh, that price hasn't changed yet. Order fucking 5 of them
Yeah.
and just keep them here
Yeah, yeah.
because they're gonna skyrocket soon. Like
Well, that, you know.
yeah,
your-
I mean,
your
I
little
guess this is what
stash
happens,
there.
right?
Yeah, I mean that's always going to exist with like the popularity of it, like rising as fast as it has. Like there's more people, so there's less parts, there's less cars. Plus they're aging out. Like so, there's
Yeah.
a lot of those things. So like,
I'm almost happy they feel like 240s are too much money. I'm
At
like,
the-
good, stop buying them, please.
But there's now
Right.
now what I like to what I like to see now too is like, oh, okay, the trunk on an S13, the privacy cover has a little dowel piece that goes in there,
oh, I know what you're talking about.
right? So that became a little hard to access,
I
right?
know what you're gonna say. Yeah.
So now what was the solution?
3D print.
Let me fucking 3D print that
Yeah.
shit.
that is cool. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like-
people are coming up with new
Yeah, dude,
solutions
there's tons of
to
shit.
keep it going, and I
Yeah.
think that that's an important part.
I mean,
of
even
the
we're
community.
making like weird little things where we're like throttle cable bracket that no one ever made.
Make
like,
it. That
shit
thing
like
is
that.
sweet. Don't let them.
No, that's huge.
You're doing
Like,
cool
absolutely.
shit. You guys have a
Yeah.
turbo line kit, like a power steering kit.
Yeah, like we were tired of all the like, fucking speed shop looking turbo line kits.
Right,
So
yeah.
we were like, what, can we just make these black? Like, is it that hard?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be like a brush finish with
Yeah.
like dimple dye. Like
Yeah.
you're doing
So-
fucking too much.
Yeah,
Like,
and like fucking red and blue AN fittings. Like no one
Yeah.
wants that shit.
yeah. No,
like
keep it chill.
I'm still. I'm also still kind of like shocked that this makes not as much as I thought it did. Because I was
kinda
like,
slow.
yeah, it probably makes like 400 or something like that, like a normal number to everyone nowadays. Because a fucking Kia SUV has 400 horsepower.
yeah, but like,
Like-
that's the perfect number. 300.
I know,
Yeah.
and like that's crazy to me because you go watch videos of Derek driving and you're like,
Yeah. But that's
I mean, it's definitely a foot down car.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I mean, I learned a lot of that from DK. Like, it was one of those things where he was driving ARC-7s and that sort of thing. So it's like, that's who I was following. Like, all right, I need to go this fast into this corner, like that sort of thing. So like that helped me significantly. And then it being like a little bit lower powered, like, I don't know, like I'm not breaking axles or drivetrain stuff.
That's
very
what I'm
often.
thinking of.
So like, I mean, it happens. Like, I mean, I messed up at trans last weekend, but
all right, we're not.
but like it's one of those things. Like I mean, I had that transmission in there for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
That's the one it's lasted the longest since I've owned the car.
Yeah.
So like that's always going to happen. So like I still don't feel like I'm driving that car at the potential it could be driven at that horsepower even.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm like I could raise the horsepower, but like
You'd rather raise the skill level,
yeah,
like, and match
absolutely,
it.
yeah, 100%. Like I definitely feel
I mean-
like there's still like things that I need to learn in that car for
And
sure.
that's like a perfect quote for what I wish the newer drivers would understand.
I know you wish they did it too,
Yeah,
but
because like they'll show up at the shop with like a full GK Tech installed wrong, and I'm like, all right, well, we got to charge you this much because we got to take everything out, reinstall it all, put it back on.
can you blame them? That's like the effort. They got the spirit, kind of. They're
No,
on the right way.
I mean, like, I don't
They're doing their own
blame them
work
because
and-
they're going on YouTube and they're just seeing Adam LZ put all this shit on his car, and then they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to get all that, but it's like
Yeah.
you don't need to get any of it, honestly. So
Yeah,
well, it's a different exposure, you know.
yeah.
like,
That's what I was about to say.
like we were talking about earlier.
They don't know you don't need that.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, they don't know
Exactly.
any better.
Nowadays, everyone, it's all out there. So they're like, oh, if it's there, that means I probably have to have it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that
it-
consumerism like mentality where they're just like, oh, I just need to get all this stuff.
Yeah, this is for my
Like-
car, and you have a whole catalog. Like, I need everything on the catalog.
Yeah, which is like, the businessman in me is like, well, that sounds good, but then like the
Right,
drifter
yeah.
in me is like, fuck all that. Like, just use the stock knuckles and see how much you suck first, and then like go from there. Like, eventually, obviously, you're gonna end up getting knuckles. You're gonna do something, but like,
Dude, it took me years
exactly.
to try to. I had stock angle on all my cars. I had 240s first.
Yeah.
Stock angle, everything. But I had an SR.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
Same.
And
No,
then
It is.
And then like
Yeah, it is. It is.
dude, little did I know that $2,000 motor
Oh
that
my
came with
God,
a bunch
dude.
of shit was gonna be like, I'm never gonna have an
Bro.
SR again.
Dude, someone came in the other day. It was like some kid's parents, right? And they're like, yeah, we bought him an S13 convertible. We got him an SR. I was
They
like,
bought him then?
Yeah, it's like his first car.
Or bought
something,
them?
right?
It could be a girl.
And they're like, yeah, we got him an SR20. I was like, and everyone in the shop, we all look at each other. We're like, where'd you get it from? And they're like, one of the depots. I was like, we're all like, what did you pay? Because I wanted to know. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, we have the paperwork right here. I was like, yeah, I want to see that. This shit was $7,000.
No.
$6,000 to $7,000.
Is that what it is out here
S15
too?
SR.
Nope. It was like an
Like a fucking
no.
red
It was an
top or some
S13,
shit?
dude. It was
Red
an
top?
S13, dude.
Red top for $7,000?
I swear to God, it was sick. I think it was
Had a
6,000.
disco potato on it already.
Dude, it was probably
Dude,
Dude, it was probably stock, but
twin disc.
yeah, it's never stock. It's always some bullshit on there. Yeah, definitely a twin disc.
$7,000?
So they're dropping it off in a couple
That's
weeks,
rough.
like for us to check it out.
Is it how is it out here to try to get stuff like that? Do you guys have to go far? Like, let's say you needed.
Do you guys have depots?
We just do rotaries. There's like 3 sitting over there.
I noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like rotaries are almost
They're bad. They're going up too.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
everything
bad.
is. So like I just put a new motor in my car. Like the first motor that I had in it lasted for 10 years.
Ooh, that's sick.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
pretty sick.
Hell yeah.
Before I get too excited about it.
Okay.
I had to pull it apart a couple times because it got a little too hot. I got
Yeah.
a little greedy on track maybe a couple times. And
I
maybe,
heard that's a rotary problem.
Yeah, like maybe melted coolant seals and stuff. But like it always would go back in, and then it just got to the point where like it needed to be replaced. So I ended up just getting like a new Mazda engine.
Short block.
Yeah, short block
Quote-
basically.
quote, unquote,
yeah.
yeah.
So like I just had that sent over, like they like sent it over or whatever, and then
In a box like that.
yeah, just
That's
like
sick.
it came in a crate and
Legitimately, that's the kind of box a motor would show up in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the cool part about Mazda. Man.
Yeah, laid the,
Fuck
like
yeah.
I got it from Mazda Japan. They sent it to the U.S. and then it got sent to my house, and I think I paid at the time maybe like $5,000, but that was like
A brand new
motor.
Like, it's not something
That sounds like some shit I would do. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Well,
literally something that you would do.
Yeah, it was either that or like, spend around the same amount on a mystery motor that, such and such a speed shop put together, and they're the best in,
Yeah.
the rotary business. And okay, like we've all heard those stories a million
Yeah.
times, and you have 1 million horsepower drag cars, like whatever. But
I mean,
like,
dude, that's with everything. Like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it involves building engines, you're kind of taking a risk no matter what.
Yeah, I could have picked up a motor, pulled it all apart, and then looked at it and been like, okay, that was actually decent. Or
Yeah.
I've been like, okay, I'm actually back at square one.
Yeah.
So I was like, that took a lot of variables out of the situation. And I was just
I think
like,
it's well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd do it again 100
Yeah.
times. That motor's been great.
And
to
I feel
me.
like you're beyond that now. Like, I feel like you went through both of you have gone through some trials and tribulations where you learned, all right, I'm just gonna have to fucking
yeah, it's
bite
not
the
always.
bullet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the same thing as when
It's not
like
always a
when your earlier days, I was like, we'd be buying used tires.
Yep.
And it's like,
we were
that's
just
no
talking
longer-
about
Don't-
this
don't-
shit.
don't-
Doesn't
look at-
make
don't
any
look at
sense
me.
anymore.
Yeah.
Don't look
Yeah.
at me.
Yeah.
So it's like back in the day, that's what I would buy it. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm like, man, what if I just bought new every time? Be better off.
Driving these
You don't
better.
have to change them
And they
as
would
much.
last
Yep.
longer.
Yeah,
believe
and
it
it's
or
just
not.
like, but you think you're saving,
Yeah.
money all
That-
the
It
I
time.
took
was
a
telling Carl in the car
long-
here. I was like,
Especially when, like, back then, none of your boys or anyone you knew had a tire machine, so you're paying for that on top of your
Yep.
cheap tire, and then you got to do it twice as much because they don't last as long.
Nope.
and then you get to the track and you realize there was a nail in one. Or
Yeah.
some shit, and you're like, okay.
There was when I met me and Frankie really have only been friends for a few years now. And like in those few years, Frankie has been a good and bad influence on me, one of which was the tire thing. Because I would always be like, yeah, I got a couple.
Bro, he would bring used tires to the shop. He
And
was
get 'em
literally
mounted.
the person you were just talking
That's
about
me.
was him.
That's
a
why I
year
was
ago.
like, shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to out myself now before I get outed by Frankie.
And he would drop the shit off and whatnot, and then me and Chris would be in the back.
And you're like, wait, I took these off. Are these the good ones or the bad ones?
Dude, that's how it was.
No, and then-
Unfortunately.
I grab his tire and I fucking throw it. I'm like, I'll do these real quick. I throw it up, fucking like tarantulas and shit come out, fucking leaves.
Well, I don't really
I'm
have
like,
it,
bro,
Raj.
get this garbage out of here. I'm like talking. I'm like, Chris, handle your boy.
Gotta
Like, what is
vacuum
this?
your tire machine afterwards.
Dude,
I love
yeah.
that.
We try to keep the shop clean.
Frankie's shop is very clean.
And then like I get this tire filled with mud and shit. I'm like, bro, come on. It's always some bullshit.
But
you learned.
eventually, yeah, because the goal is, right, you want to just not be fucking switching tires all the
Yeah.
damn time. Like, I
Yeah.
want to be on grid as long as possible. Or not grid, but I want to be on the track as long as possible.
As much as you don't seem to take people's advice, you do end up taking it.
It
takes you a
told
minute.
you this time and time again.
Yeah, it takes you a minute.
I am pretty stubborn because I want to believe that my way will work for me.
Yeah.
And then I'll go do it, and then it's wrong.
Like he'll be in
and then I'll go back, and then guess what? I won't tell
Yeah.
Frankie that I'm doing it that way, the right way
Yeah.
that he said, but I'm gonna do it.
Chris
that way.
Chris told me that probably when you were bringing the tires to the shop all muddy, he's like, don't worry. He'll
figure it out.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. And it's like, yeah.
Like-
it was like on the way here with my truck. Every time a noise happens, yo, what is that? It's the exhaust. I don't know, man. That didn't sound like the exhaust. I'm like, Carl, this truck has almost 300,000 miles on it. I know what it is. And like you kept telling me, like, I don't know, man.
Well,
I
now
think
when we
it's
hit a
this.
bump and it makes a fucking wild noise, I'm just sitting there and I'm looking at Frankie like,
I'm like, bro, I know you think you know, but you don't.
It's that I know my car meme.
Yeah, yeah,
The big gas
literally.
gauge that's like buried
Yes.
in the needle.
I know my ride.
but like, speaking of tires, like, I don't know. Okay, with Frankie, for example, I have conversations with Josh about random things.
So Josh DeLee's Front Street, you guys know him.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
fucking, yeah. He's,
They're the same people. They're the same person
well, in some ways.
in some ways. Frankie has hair.
Yeah,
Sorry,
well,
Josh.
No, not with car style anymore, but yeah.
But like with just how their attitudes are, and like
yeah.
Frankie's been gone out of drifting for a few years, and in those few years, like, you know, people have specific tires that work better for them for drifting, and like ones last longer than others, ones don't delam than others. And I happened to look at yours, Derek, and I was like, Ironmans, I heard good things about these. Like, that's something that has changed from me using my used tires. I feel like
Those
I
are my
noticed-
brother's tires.
I know the Ironmans.
Yeah, those
Do
are
you
my
like 'em?
brother's tires.
What do you do? Do you have
No,
any input on that? Like in
honestly-
terms of tires?
so those are the first times that I've used them.
Uh-huh.
So
Are they bad? Please tell me.
No. They've seem to
'Cause I'm
they've seem to last like really long, which is cool. But I hate the tread pattern. That sounds really dumb.
No,
they
no,
look
no.
like
that's
tractor
fine.
tires.
Bro.
That's fine. I
They
appreciate
look so
that.
whack.
Like,
So like
They're great, but the way they look,
dude, that ain't it. But no. Honestly, like they've been great. They didn't delam. They held up for a long time. I mean, they lasted most of the weekend in Kentucky. I drove all the way back on them. Honestly, I wasn't gonna drive back on them because they were so flat spotted from like long e-brake drags.
Kentucky. Oh, Appalachia?
Yeah. So,
Shit.
that's a whole nother realm we got to get into.
So yeah, just like there was a lot of like e-brake drags on the downhill. So like once you're going like 55 or 60, it feels like you have a flat spotted like skateboard wheel in the system.
Oh.
Like yeah. So, but no, like I mean, I'm pretty much down to run. I mean, every season, not every season, but like from years to years, it changes. Like
Yeah.
one year it's Valino, one year it's Kendo, one year it's Falcon. You know what I
Kind
mean?
of depends
Like,
on what you can get, really.
Yeah.
That's really it.
And then
Yeah.
also, you know,
Yeah.
all these tire companies change their tires too. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this was, you know,
This
like the
was
KR20
good, yeah.
was really good, but now the KR20A,
Yep.
I don't like it as much, you know, and
Yeah, they change
Huh.
everything, and then
Yeah.
all the brands just rename themselves.
because
so you don't know
Iron Man
what's
just
what.
changed.
oh, I don't even
It's
know.
like
What? Did it?
Yeah, I think it's like on a Gen 2 now or something. I just
Okay.
I didn't personally see that, but I saw someone make a post about it,
So,
like, oh
like-
yeah, these as good as the old ones.
Yeah, like I used to always use like a Zennies for like the front and like sometime the rear, and then I would go to like Advans on the fronts, and now like I can't get those in my sizes, so now I'm on some Zek Novas.
Advan. Oh,
And
yeah.
I like they are super cheap. They like were great for steer tires, like, and I care about this, but
got
they
that
have
cool look.
they got
they got the tread pattern.
They have a good tread pattern. Like
I noticed it.
for
Look.
me, like that matters.
That's
I mean,
mainly a front tire thing for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you gotta have
'cause
a
you can
cool looking
see it.
front, but the
Yeah.
rear, I'm like,
I feel the
can-
same.
yeah.
Yeah, the rear I don't give a fuck about.
Frankie,
Yeah.
you have fucking stop.
Dude, I put the cheapest shit for the longest time. For me, it was just what's the cheapest tire that's not complete garbage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was pretty much.
You're
it.
on
Yeah.
S drives in the front.
No,
I
I'm
ran
not.
those
I
before.
was on S-Drives for a while.
That was
The
the
last tire I put on before my car broke was
Dunlop.
Derezas. Yeah, because everyone was like, "Oh, these are good." I was like, yeah, well, "They're a fuck
I used
ton
to-
of money. I hope they're good."
I used to go to the autocross pages because their tire
move.
reviews
That's a
were
smart move.
because
Yeah.
they're always so my thing is like, oh, I want that initial bite, I want that consistent grip, and like autocross people will literally nerd out
Yeah,
about that. Like my roommate is one of them. He's an autocross. Both of them are, and they'll get all that information, and I will just politely look over
Yeah.
and get that information from them.
That's
That's
pretty
how I
smart.
knew the RE71 is a very, very sticky tire, like unbelievably sticky, but wears fast.
Yeah.
The Falcon was great. Doesn't really wear nearly as fast. It doesn't delam. But then, like, I don't know, as time goes on, again, that new age thought, like I have Acceleras on now, which I thought were going to be on my rear, but I like the tread banners. I put them on the front. I literally can relate to you when you said that. I hope you didn't feel weird when you
No,
said that.
not at all.
'Cause,
I'll
like,
stand by that.
It's in the front now, and I'm like, these aren't as sticky as the RE71, but yet it feels better
Definitely
to drift.
not as sticky as a 71.
But it
Nah.
still it feels better to drift.
Are you talking about the R or the RS? How long ago?
RE71.
Yeah.
It's the R. I know what the RS
Okay.
is. That
Those are new.
shit is.
Those are new.
That is crazy sticky.
Yeah,
my the same roommate. I was looking at your 996 just because he has a 996. Doesn't look like that though. And they're on RE71 RS.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That thing
This is Bridgestone?
super sticky
Yeah.
tire.
yeah.
dude.
I remember I had those on STI when it was RE,
REO 70.
something like that.
They
yeah.
came on STIs.
Not that one. It was after that. Maybe around 2010 to 2012 era. It was like a newer version. Bro,
I gotta
that
tell you.
shit was crazy.
Yeah. It's a
I
scary,
mean, it was a grip car, but
very, very sticky tire, but they
Yeah.
wear fast. And, like, that's just like autocross people being like,
no, it's a good idea. To
yeah, I'll have a
go to-
season out of these. And then they take it off the car and it's like,
Yeah.
damn, those are barely even warm, bro.
No, that's a good idea because like I know like a lot of times I would look at like guys that road race like FDs.
Yeah.
And I would like, how are they keeping these cars cool? So like now I'm
Oh.
like looking at ducting, I'm looking at like swirl pots for like different things or
Yeah.
even like fuel slosh for the tank. Like I'm like, okay, these guys are using these cars very hard. So like if they're lasting like full like road race days or like grip days, you know, around a circuit, then like I'm trying to apply some of those parts to my car so I can stay out there longer. If they're out there for, you know, 30, 45-minute sessions
Yeah.
or whatever, like I should be able to stay out for, you know, a 10, 15-minute or 20-minute like drift session.
Yeah.
So like,
It's proven already.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're
exactly,
they already
like-
tested it for you.
yeah.
Like,
What is like the cooling issue with those cars?
I mean, it's just rotary stuff. They're extremely hot. Like,
Okay.
They're two-stroke.
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
much, so-
yeah. I guess
Yeah.
that's what it is.
So
Lot
high
of-
high revs, just a lot of heat. Yeah, like a lot of
Damn.
things get just like
I've heard people complain like, "Yeah, I was stuck in traffic and my shit overheated." I'm like, "What?"
That's like an idiot move then.
Okay.
'Cause,
Yeah.
like,
Thanks. I was
Yeah.
confused. I'm like, "What?" Like that.
I mean, that race car right there under the cover, I don't have a fan on it.
Okay.
and it doesn't do that.
Yeah, it does.
Probably
huge
doesn't.
radiator, and it's made to be going
Yeah.
around a track, so like the
Where it's
fan's
taking
not
in-
technically necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always wondered that shit.
That the not now we're gonna. I want to circle back to Appalachian.
I definitely
just
wanna
because
go
that
back to
shit.
yeah.
I don't know if I've seen anything in the U.S. something like that where it's like a street drift event.
Yeah, dude. That
What was
crazy.
that experience like?
And like, how involved were you guys? Because like we talked about Drift Indie, but we didn't really get the full. Like, I know you didn't found it, but I guess you do work for them, or
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So you guys were like kind of involved with this whole thing that just happened, I guess.
Yeah, that was. So I met a guy from racing and hill climbs down that way.
Okay.
I feel like
That
I
was, like, the
thought it had an
connection. That's
involvement
the
with
main
hill
connection
climbing.
with that.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to essentially bring drifting down there in that area.
Yeah.
And then we moved forward with it. And then
And it looked like it worked.
I got Edgar from Drift Indy, involved, and then that's pretty much what got
Yeah.
all the.
Was Reese Marin involved in this at all? Because I remember.
No, he just came along.
Okay.
yeah, you're just hanging out for the
Alright.
weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he fucking talked to me about this shit like 2 years ago, and I kind of was just like, in one ear, out the other. But I was like, it sounds cool. Like it sounded like he had someone with similar thing. Like there was a guy with an area, and some of it was like a road. that they wanted to drive, like, I guess, racing on or something. And then, like, I guess it never came to fruition, but then we saw that pop up and we were like, oh, okay, maybe this has something to do
That
with it.
probably explains why he was like, I got to go to this.
Yeah. So maybe he was like,
He was amped.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
amped.
That again,
Everybody was.
Yet another good. It could never happen in the tri-state area
Yeah.
moment. But how did it run for you guys?
Yeah, how was that whole thing?
I mean, that was our first time ever doing that. So, like, I'd say about as good as it could go.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone came out alive. So,
That's good. That's good.
Dude, yeah, seeing the
That's a huge
videos and
start.
shit.
I would shit up. I would simply shit myself.
Yeah.
The videos are sick, but, like, it really was pretty scary fast.
Yeah.
So,
It was absolutely fast.
Yo,
Yeah.
fucking.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching the videos like I only knew some people that were there, barely anyone from that I saw. But
I
was like,
recognized
fucking
your
hope-
car,
Yeah, I'm like,
Derek.
I hope these guys know how to drive because if you're if they're just used to track shit and then they're getting put on this, like,
yeah, they're handpicked.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that's our street league guys.
Okay.
Most of our street league guys, and they're all like, all of our street league guys are like vetted drivers. you know?
Okay.
They're like, it's a close knit like family in a way. So they're just good dudes, like all around. Like we've been kind of like
They get it.
mentoring and
Yeah.
vetting them for this is the third year of street league, and we didn't allow every driver to come. We kind of picked a smaller group.
Yeah.
But mostly the more advanced guys.
Makes
And
sense.
So we had the best group possible. We didn't have any random, wild cards that we're not familiar with driving the mountains. So like
Yeah.
we have guys that we can trust,
Are the
not be
old-timers,
idiots.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
ones where you don't have to fucking watch them.
Yeah, we had our drivers meeting and told them, how, the seriousness of, the hill and how it can bite and whatnot. And
Yeah, it was definitely very high consequence. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we all got there like with an expectation of like, okay, this is gonna be like, maybe a little heavy, but we'll figure it out. And then like climbing up the first like sight lap, you're like, we did it at speed, so like no one was like drifting really, but like we like lined all the cars. We had like a pace car in front and then like a car in the rear, and like we're doing it at speed, and like you're like, oh, I'm clicking up a gear.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In a skinny.
Yeah. Like I'm
no
grabbing-
runoff.
Yeah, I'm grabbing another gear, and it's like cliff face and guardrail, and the guardrail looks pretty nice right now, honestly.
Yeah.
Guardrail looks nice and smooth. That
Yeah.
cliff face looks fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
So like you hit it at speed, like do a little clutch kick at like the end of a corner, kind of, just like out of it, like slide out of it, whatever. And then like on the way back down, everyone's like grabbing a handbrake, checking like what like grip levels are like and everything.
it's steep. So
Yeah, it was like a 7 or 8% grade in certain spots.
I feel
so,
like the video definitely didn't capture that.
I don't
as
think it
well.
captured that.
Holy
I mean,
shit!
It's like someone's like skating a huge like stair set,
Yeah.
or a
Yeah,
big handrail,
yeah.
or a big gap, or whatever. It's like, oh, that looks sick, but like in real life, that shit's crazy. It's just insane.
And where
You know what
was
I'm
this
saying?
again?
I was
Kentucky?
in like central eastern Kentucky, I'd
Yeah,
say.
yeah, just
Okay.
like real small town. Like we drove in Corbin, Kentucky on Saturday, and it was kind of like
It's like an hour north.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we had a street league down there at Corbin Arena
Oh, okay.
on Saturday. That was like Friday and Saturday, and then the select drivers that we picked for the Toge then all met at the other location.
Yeah, it was like an
on
hour
Sunday.
drive, and we just met in like this small little like country town, like kind of at the bottom. And yeah, like there was a couple parking lots, some gravels, like at a bank, like all these spots, and like police and fire were there, like had it all set up. They had like a food truck there for us and everything. Like they were
So-
super accommodating.
Was it you guys setting it up with the town, or was there
So
someone?
drifting. So the guy I met
Yeah.
from the hill climb stuff, he has a organization called Backroads of Appalachia.
Okay.
And he is he organizes essentially roads. So like SECA, they'll go
Yeah.
through him, and then he kind of helps secure roads.
Okay. So
And,
basically with the town or the state. I
yeah.
guess.
So
Yeah.
he's at meetings nonstop. I don't know enough about the political end of things, but so he pretty much did all the legwork for that, and then
It's
drifted.
pretty. Dude,
handles like the
That's
event side of it.
intense, dude.
Really
was-
awesome that they let you do that.
It was so fun. It was
Yo.
definitely an experience. Like,
And
I mean,
she's here.
yeah. So I mean, I brought it.
Survived.
I brought it up earlier, but like I had a trans issue the day before.
I saw that shit.
So
yeah.
like I was like stayed up, like had to drive and like source a trans, and then thanks Drake, my little brother, like pulled the trans out of his car.
Whoa.
I put it in my car. Like it. I mean, it's every driver would do it.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like you're there, you're broke, you like need shit to get fixed. So and you want to drive the next day at an event that like you really are motivated.
Fight
to
or flight,
drive.
baby.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So like getting there, it was definitely very surreal. Like it was a very cool experience. It was heavy. I mean, it was
Yeah.
like there was a couple incidents, but like it's part of driving.
Yeah.
So like. But it was definitely a road that if you didn't respect it, and everyone there is learning it for the first time, and even with like Chelsea being there, he was just like, "Yo, like, you guys need to take this very seriously."
Yeah.
So like,
I feel like this is assuming a lot right now. You guys can correct me. I feel like a lot of the people that probably went there probably never even seen a mountain. But
Like
yeah,
a mountain
I mean, to
road.
be fair, so a lot of our street league guys have never driven a track outside of Killcare, which is our home track.
Okay, yeah,
And that's in Dayton, Ohio.
yeah.
And like a lot of those guys, until the day before at the street league at Corbin Arena, had not driven a track
Okay.
besides Killcare.
Yeah, that's
so
I was
like to
thinking
go
that.
from that to then a new parking lot track to a cliffside mountain.
Yeah.
You know? And but then again, at the same time, we've got the generation that all those kids are doing sim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So like, on the sim, I think that probably helped prepare them
Yeah.
immensely on something like that.
Dude, it's fucking awesome you guys did that. Especially for those guys that got to drive. And if that's like the new crowd, like younger kids, that's awesome.
It's mainly the next generation.
And it's a high level of trust.
yeah.
Like, again, like that
Yeah.
event could have, with one bad apple, bro,
Yeah.
Yeah.
could have fucked up the whole bunch.
I mean, like, there's a group chat with all the guys that drove that event,
Uh-huh.
and like seeing the camaraderie after the event, it's like they all like felt like they went to war together.
No, it
I
was
mean,
funny.
it was
for
like
real.
literally dudes like
Yeah.
they all know each other because they've been driving against each other and with each other,
Yeah.
sharing the same pits. But like after that, it seemed like everyone that whole weekend alone was just like out of town, hanging out, partying, like downtown. So like everyone seemed to get closer, and then like everyone pretty much going to war at that Toge together. Like,
Yeah, it's like-
even in the chat, they all just like you could see the unity,
yeah.
and it was like it was cool.
It's like the next, everyone's drinking and hanging out the night before. It's like, all right, tomorrow. That's
Yeah.
when we drift on a Toge for the first time.
yeah.
Isn't that crazy that like you guys are kind of, you're responsible now for kind of not, maybe not the word grooming is the right word, but you're like aiding the next generation, kind of.
Yeah.
You're like kind of guiding it.
Trying.
Like you're a fucking role model now. DJ.
Trying to.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
very
you
loose-
too.
DK
You're a role
loose
model.
term.
Yeah,
How fucking nuts
DK's
is that?
a role model now.
Very
Did you-
loose term.
Like, isn't that wild? Like, to me, you guys are role models to me. Like, I would love to one day have something like this or share a story
I mean,
like you guys
I feel
can.
like us, we're just doing something that we like. and
Yeah.
that if we can help somebody else not make a mistake that we made, then like that feels good because it's like, hey, like that sucked. You might not listen to me. I didn't listen when I was that age, but just in case you do, like it would be great. Like if you didn't have to go through that hardship, but then sometimes like maybe it's necessary.
Yeah.
So like it feels good to create like what Derek was saying, like everyone in that group chat or whatever, like created that like camaraderie and that community because like it makes it feel like it's going in a positive way rather than it going towards like a takeover or like some other like
Well,
there's
like,
so many other things that you could have
it's-
picked.
Like
Yeah.
getting a generation like that to help promote like what I think is proper
Driving.
drifting,
Yeah.
instead of just a bunch of old heads trying to beat it into the younger generation. Like that goes a long way when you have younger kids now sharing the same ideas that they can pass on to guys their age or even now the next generation. So like
They're not
I think
just-
it goes a long, it goes a long way to try to like promote the right thing because the kids driving street league now, they love it. Their cars aren't built up to the moon, so like they
Yeah.
can enjoy their cars.
Yeah. Without
And
it
then-
blowing up
yeah,
right away.
and like there's so many kids, like mentioned earlier, where they think they need to throw the whole catalog at their car. And that doesn't normally just mean suspension anymore. It means like LS3 crate motors and stuff, you know? And that's really happening to guys that haven't driven. And so then it's like, oh, I got this cool drift car built. Oh no, now I'm burning $1,000 in tires a day.
Every time I drive it.
It becomes unsustainable.
And then now, like, you know, whether it's just going to be a phase for them or not, like, that's not going to help them potentially like become a lifer at like, you know, enjoying something like drifting.
So it was like that idea of like sustainability. Like, I've never tried to build a car that I could not afford to actually like use. Because like now high horsepower, you're running a sequential, you're doing all of these things. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yo, people really don't think about that shit.
No,
though.
That's an important factor.
So like, if we can have like those conversations face to face rather than someone just like looking at a YouTuber for those answers, not saying that that's wrong. But like they're in a different stage of like where their career is or where like life is for them sometimes. Like if you're a college kid, like I remember being in college and like wanting to be able to like drift, but also being like, yo, like every dollar counts. Like what Derek was saying, like, you know, like being in high school and talking about like, all right, I'm saving up my lunch money for an exhaust. Like, am I saving up my money for like a track day or for tires, or like maybe I need seats and a coilovers, like, you know what I mean? Just like those bare minimum things. So like having those face-to-face conversations rather than just being like, I guess I'm looking online for this thing through someone that like doesn't really have the same like means as I do.
No,
like,
but a louder voice, that's the problem.
Like, absolutely.
Like they think that because they're on YouTube, they're the louder voice they need to listen to.
And you said something interesting, which is like they'll share it amongst their friends. They'll I've seen it where like like somebody more similar to you will say the same exact thing that somebody else said, and then you'll listen to that person.
Yeah, like resonates.
Finally. It resonates more with that person, Frankie, to me.
Like I'll say something to you. Oh, I see what
like you'll
like
say
other
something,
people will say shit,
and then somebody else will say the same exact thing to me, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that actually might work. But since it came out of you, and maybe since you were saying it in like a way where I'm like, this guy is just trying to preach to me right now, then I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to this guy.
That's why it helps to like to have the homies. Like I know, like sometimes I maybe even take it for granted, but like I'll have a conversation where I have something like in my head where I'm like, okay. Like if I'm changing spring rates, like I need to make sure dampening's good, and like I need to make sure like all of these things are okay. And then I'll talk to Derek about it, and he's like, "Dude, I've changed spring rates and this, and that, and like it affected it this way. Like the dampening was not changed, so like I can bounce that information off of him. Somebody that has like grip and like track experience, where like I'm building up in my head like it's going to be such a negative move, and I need to spend all this extra money to do it properly." Quotations, you know what I'm saying? Because like it has to be this way, otherwise your car's gonna catch on fire and you're gonna crash. You know what I'm saying? Like some absurd thing. Versus somebody that has like firsthand experience saying like, this is the benefit of it, this is, you know, the negative of it. So like I'm giving you that information. Now like you can make that decision.
And it's pretty much like, do you trust this person? Like that's pretty much what it is. Like if you're hearing that from random people on the internet, then it's like, okay, I don't know. But then if it's like your boy, that's like, okay.
Absolutely.
You know, he's got experience.
Yeah.
If you can back it up, then it's like, okay. But like that goes back to what you were saying, Carl, with like people messaging you and shit like, oh, you should try this.
Yeah.
It's like, yes and no. I mean, you know, be courteous, but like just.
No, I definitely I want to always make sure that not everybody, even your closest friends sometimes won't even give you an input. Okay. It takes somebody to give you input. That takes effort from their end too. So I make sure never to just be like, dismissive about it or put somebody down for telling me an opinion of theirs, because like they're trying to just help me too. But like I think that's wildly important, that to make sure that you're always grateful that you have your friends, because like I have those friends too, Chris, Daryl, like Quan, like we'll always just bounce ideas off of each other, and it sometimes will prevent me from doing something else because I'm like, you know what, so and so said this. That might not be the move for me. Maybe I should go like explore it a little bit more.
Yeah, or it'll prevent you from spending a lot of money sometimes, like you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and I think that's what like DK was like kind of bringing up, was like it creates like that community, and it, you know, you have that conversation between like younger driver, like one generation to the next, versus just like, I don't know, like taking someone's word for it.
Yeah,
that might have a platform that like gives them that word, and like what I said maybe earlier with that, like be wary of like.
And I feel like
the-
you guys dealt with all that already with the forums too.
The forums were brutal back in the day.
yeah,
but
yeah.
also helpful.
No, well,
I'm
Yeah.
still on them. I'll still go
Yeah.
through there.
yes and no,
But
but
also,
yeah.
like at the same time, when you were trying to evolve and start drifting, like the forums were like, "You fucking idiot!"
Yeah.
You know, like you will die if you stretch your tires, or
Yeah.
you know, like everyone's heard that before.
215 on a 9-inch
Yeah.
wide, bro.
DK, I feel like you've probably been banned from some forums before in the past. Has that happened?
It's happened a few times.
Okay, yeah. I get that vibe.
It
yeah.
has happened.
Yeah.
That was
Those ones weren't any good anyway.
Did we have any questions?
We definitely got questions, but I got one too. This Toge Mountain run, is this
Yeah.
going to happen again?
Yeah, it'll happen again.
Okay.
All right, nice.
You think you're ever going to open it up to more people, or is it more like,
It's always going to be handpicked.
okay.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is probably,
That's just
I think that's
just-
for your own good
yeah,
type of.
Obviously, like there'll be, you know, that doesn't mean that we're not going to let people that we don't know.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just means there's going to be an application process, just like we do apps for street leagues still, you know,
Okay.
to make sure you're not bringing a heap of shit that no one wants storing their car. You know, you have to do that stuff.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And, so yeah,
I mean,
there'll be an application process for sure, but like, there's no saying like we're never going to let new
No.
drivers in. That
Yeah.
that would be silly.
Because you guys definitely, well, you and whoever else was involved definitely,
Set the tone.
let's say, broke the internet that weekend or whenever it was.
That's just because I feel like everyone was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
And it was a big moment in drifting that I think a lot of people needed to see. So it was really cool. So,
yeah, it made it real, like U.S. stateside
Yeah.
Toge.
it felt good for the U.S. definitely, but it was one of those things like it's been done. Like as far as like people street sliding and
Oh, yeah.
elevation, like
Of course.
like in the mountains,
Washington, Oregon,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's something that's always been around, but as far as like bringing it to like something that's structured, and now we have like fire safety there that if something does happen, it's not just you and your homies like trying
Yeah.
to pull a car.
Yeah,
like
recovery
out of a
is
ditch,
there,
or like yeah. Like so, it gives it like a little bit of a safety net there, which is great.
Yeah.
So it's not, and you're not putting other people's lives in danger. Like that's always like such a big thing.
It's basically like the cooler track version of, you know.
Yeah, there was
I
structure.
mean, I saw a lot of videos resurfacing from other people doing it in different parts of the country.
Oh,
you know,
really?
organized or not, because
Yeah.
like they're like, hey, we've been doing this too. So I started seeing videos like resurface,
which is awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
which
we
is
want
fine,
to
you
see
know.
that.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with that, but like
But this was like I'm calling it a track day. Like that's what it was to me. Like
I'm calling it a hill climb because that's exactly what was going on. you
Yeah,
know?
but like
I mean,
like
we
you
had
said,
run
there's
groups. Yeah.
yeah, like there's fire. There's everyone's there. It's safe. The shit that they're probably showing is like illegal street stuff, which is obviously cool. We all like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no
but
doubt.
it's two totally different things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean it's you could call it a controlled environment. you
Yeah.
know, but
yeah, no, it's definitely awesome though. Another question I had was what was it? Street League. Do you guys have like rules for car specs and stuff? Like
no,
how does
just,
that work?
Just tires.
Tire size. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like I feel like that's like the go-to.
I mean, we would like them
thing.
all to look as cool as possible.
Yeah.
So,
and
like-
some guys apply and then get irritated that they don't get accepted and whatnot. And most of the time it's because they don't really understand the concept of what it is. You know, they see it as another
Competition.
competition payout thing that they want to try to win.
Yeah.
And it's not, that's not what it is.
I do
you know?
like
It's,
that though. Wouldn't that like motivate
You to
more
make your car not a
to
bag
like,
of
oh,
dicks?
okay.
Yeah.
well, and,
maybe I
it
should-
has worked because like the
Yeah.
first year of Street League, I mean, it was tough to get cars that were
Good looking?
appropriate looking
Yeah,
for
yeah.
what we're, what we want,
And
And
performing.
it's
Yeah.
in a way, a nostalgia series,
Oh wow, I
mean,
love that word,
it's
dude.
hard to actually put that on paper to call it that because obviously not everyone can drive 90s and 2000s drift cars because they're just not out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's to try to motivate people to at least put effort into that style and that era of drifting.
Yeah.
And so
It's similar to Final Bout in a way. Just
Yeah,
not
in a way.
team oriented.
yeah,
Yeah, I would call it like Lock City has it. Street Series
Oh
too.
yeah, Well, that's why I
But-
asked about the tire size and stuff because I know other groups are trying to do like street series stuff, which is fucking awesome. Obviously, we all like that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you go about like Lock City was saying like you need like 80% of your interior and stuff like
Yeah,
this.
so
and I'm like,
I love
we
that
try to
rule.
we try to enforce the interior stuff, but at the same time, it's like, you know, cages are recommended,
Yep.
especially on like the older cars, and it is hard to refit interior. To be honest, sometimes it's hard to just get interior if you got a car that didn't come with it.
Yep.
So like we try to enforce that. Like we don't want people showing up with like
tin can.
aluminum dashes that are.
oh,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, we don't require like side windows, you know, but like it's mainly people who want to be a part of it should know what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then we try to teach them that. And like we'll get guys that show up and we're like, man, we were like, technically this car shouldn't pass tech because like our tech requires
It's a
it
Pro-Am
to
car.
look
Yeah.
to look right, you know. And then it's like, all right, you know, we kind of have to talk to them and like try to get them to understand. And then
That's
sometimes
hard.
they do, sometimes they don't. And then sometimes you see the guys actually like
Go back.
go in the right direction,
Oh,
and
just
then they
get it,
start
yeah.
gradually showing up with something more and more like what it's supposed to. And they're like, damn, this is sweet.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance too because like you want good driving. So like,
Yeah.
do you want just cars that look sick as fuck, but like they're not putting a run together, or they're putting a run together, but their tandem's like kind of like shoddy. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like okay, we have a car that has a lot of potential, and you have a conversation with that person, and it's like, okay, like, you know, what can you do to like, you know, not running like plexi windows or things
Yeah.
like that, like are running more interior, like those things, like the idea of like having this more like
Of a street.
streetable thing that
It's
like
like called Street League.
Yeah.
well that you can
It's in the
enjoy on the
name.
weekend. Like
Yeah.
you can go like go over to your homie's house in it. Like it doesn't just need to live on a trailer.
Yeah, you know what? One rule that I always wish existed. You guys can probably tell me why this might not, but
Radio.
having the car registered
Oh.
Oh yeah, like
to drive. Like, is that a rule?
I've never not had my car registered.
Love that.
It's not a rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's actually like a rule for like the D1 Street
Yeah,
class.
and I think a lot of times-
Yeah, what? Yeah,
that
it
was
was
like the rule.
Yeah.
So our issue with that was like we'd get a lot of like right-hand drive cars that, you know,
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
Come, they come from areas.
Allegedly, yeah.
So like, there's definitely
And
like,
also
a gray
like
area.
that doesn't necessarily help the rule book at all because like anyone you can go register in Indiana, you know, we can register damn near anything.
Yeah.
So that doesn't keep anyone from showing up with a car that's still
Shouldn't
a
be on the
pro-am
road.
car, you know.
Yeah.
So
It'd be like little things for me, like radio.
and yeah, we have like cars that are, I would say, almost Pro 2 level that
Okay.
do come,
Yeah.
and like they look a bit better. But like as far as like the components they have to make the car drive well and the horsepower, like they're right up there with
Yeah.
a Pro-Am type car, but they're still limited by the 245,
I
300
was just gonna
treadwear.
ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
So-
what tire?
245 max.
Okay.
And 300 minimum treadwear.
Okay.
Yeah, so-
I mean, that's a pretty good size.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
I
was
mean,
the last
it makes
size
it
I've done my car.
competitive where someone's not just even with the layouts too. Like that can completely change like how it's being run. Like
I
if you
mean-
have a layout that like helps lower horsepower cars, like
Yeah.
cool, you have 600 horsepower and you're, you know, blowing your tires off, but like if a Miata or whatever is like pushing you through the course because like you're just blowing smoke the whole time, like they have advantage. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's
So,
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Because we have often a stock 350Z power plant and like a 2JZ and then a Turbo Miata on podium last event.
All the
you
time.
know?
Yeah.
And
It's a pretty good mix, which is really exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah. Getting to see like underpowered cars or what you would think.
I love
yeah, well,
that
hell,
shit.
we've had like a E36 M3 on podium with just this NA motor. Obviously, those things are nothing to call home about.
Yeah.
You know, they get around, but like,
Yeah.
they're probably not as good
No,
as
it's
even
definitely
a stock
pushed, like,
350Z.
Driver ability, which is like is amazing. Like it's one of those things. Like anytime you see somebody with, you know, a pretty mild build, like really putting it on everybody, like that's who you're excited to watch. Like it's one of those things. It's like I'm rooting for that guy because like
Yeah.
I know what that car's about, and that dude is like putting it on everybody all weekend. Like I hope like he's the one that's number one this weekend.
And we don't necessarily have a problem where it's like dudes bring in these super tricked out like JDM cars and they can't drive for shit because
Yeah.
like they have to qualify, so they want to do good. So like it's not just like, oh, I got this cool car, it's pretty shit because I can't drive it
Yeah.
very well. So like all the guys want to do good. So like I haven't ran into that problem where guys are bringing like really neat stuff and just can't perform at all. Like it's pretty stiff all around. So
So it seems to be working out.
yeah.
I mean,
like
that's awesome, man.
Englishtown Club Loose is gonna have a kart track competition where it's the same kind of
Well,
structure.
not Club Loose, but
Sorry, the drift school at Englishtown,
Chris
called East
Knapp,
Coast
who's
Drift School.
the owner's
Okay.
son.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he's organizing a competition where it's a 235 tire, cageless tandem is allowed, which is a big thing in New Jersey. And
Yeah,
I
we're all
am
stoked for that because we're
stoked
hoping
for
maybe
that.
something will come out of that.
yeah, because
I mean-
hopefully it sparks a
Now
fire
is that
for
a,
other
is that a
people as well.
gambler event?
No,
No,
technically it's not.
It's
right?
separate because the
Yeah.
gambler event, what I've
They have a
noticed,
small tire class though, right?
I don't actually know enough about the Gambler series.
I know that the gambler series
They have an unlimited.
it has an unlimited, and there is a 235 class, I think.
Oh, wow.
That's what Reese was telling me that
Okay,
I think that there was a 235.
there
class.
probably there probably
It's a
is.
fast 235 class.
The thing is, like, when it's on the figure eight, I don't give a fuck about that track personally. When it's on the road course,
It's
Oh,
on the
yeah.
road course.
yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be sick.
But the
Wow.
figure eight, I'm like when we go to FD and like when we go there to have a booth and everything, like we'll shut it down. We'll go watch like the end of FD because it's fun to see. At this stage, it's like, dude, those cars are just fucking entertainment. Like it's not.
Yeah, it's
I'm-
crazy.
Yeah, like I'm not
It is
watching that.
entertaining. It's wild.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah, it's
watching
so
that
cool.
and like comparing it to like
No, it's a
what we're
different thing.
doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm watching it like I'm watching something that I'll never be able to do.
Yeah.
And it's like
I
it's
never
fun
know.
to see that on a figure eight,
Yeah.
but like seeing like fucking 300 horsepower cars in the figure eight, I'm like, I'm
No,
good,
no.
dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's dangerous as fuck because there's walls every fucking corner.
Yeah.
So I'm
They're just
like,
right there,
yeah,
both of them.
fuck
They're
that
hard
shit,
as
dude.
fuck too.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do a comp and fuck my car up for a figure eight. Like, I mean,
No, that
more
car
power
tra-
to him, but
that car track comp has me excited because I have a G still, and I
Yeah.
love my G because I get in, I turn it on, and it's still slow as shit,
yeah, dude, the car track is fun.
and it's just fun on a slow
It's
car.
just it's weird. Like it's like old parking lot shit, but it's rough as fuck. But it's like it makes you feel like it's the old days, like
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way. You know what I mean? So
That sounds great.
and the
Yeah.
track, the layout, it's like I was telling you this earlier too.
So
Frankie.
they did that at the Invitational, right?
yes,
yes,
Yeah, okay.
and
Yes,
that shit
that track.
was sick, dude. That was awesome. Like when
that-
they were doing that.
That track is fun. It's a fast, straight, quick, short, fast, straight,
Yeah.
and then it's like a super hard entry. So like it's everybody's favorite shit, you know. That's what the crowd likes to see. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Would-
gonna be a good time.
Would you guys ever consider going out there for a BMI if they keep doing them?
I mean, we got the invites. We haven't been traveling really. I'd
Yeah.
say. Like I know
Yeah.
it sounds like we have, but we really
Yeah, really. It
haven't.
sounds like you have, and that's why I
Yeah, you just
asked.
Kentucky,
Yeah.
Tennessee,
Yeah,
fucking
the
Ohio.
The Kentucky is only like 6 hours
like
from us.
6, yeah,
I
so
mean,
add-
it's
chill.
still a
Add
lot.
another
Yep,
4.
I was about to say only is crazy,
Only another
Jesus.
4 hours, and you're in.
But that
Jersey?
falls under Derek's threshold of 7 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for street driving. Yeah, fair enough. But dude, we didn't even.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of shit we didn't even get to talk about.
E-Town's my favorite like track period still. I mean,
Awesome.
I've
We
done
definitely
I've done
wanna go
Horse
back.
Thief Mile and like
Yeah, that's sick,
E-Town
dude.
is over. You know, US Air is like everyone's favorite, but like
I
E-Town,
s-
E-Town is my favorite period still.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I say the same thing. I'm like, I know it's our home track, but I feel like you got everything there.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like about that track.
Yeah, like
That
and
first
the-
turn.
You can
dude.
really like stretch your legs at it. That's what I like. you know,
Yeah.
like you get
the
to
G
really,
was
you know,
pinging.
yeah, dude, that first turn is sick, man. And now everyone's obsessed with tree turn and all the other ones. Like there's different setups, like layouts you can do now.
Well,
like,
Josh fucking
Well, now they're
lit
going
up tree turn.
Yeah, now
for
they're going
everybody.
backwards at tree turn.
Now
and
they're like, I
shit,
gotta throw
like-
it backy. That's the only thing I care about.
which is like something I don't really. Yeah, literally.
Fuck.
It's like
Nah, each their own.
yeah, exactly. Like I always tell Carl, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really into that stuff, but it's cool to watch. But like,
It's fun as shit to try. When you try it, you're
Yeah.
gonna be like, what the fuck?
I'm just like, I always think of like Josh always talks like, oh, you got so much to learn, this and that. And I'm like, I definitely probably have a lot to learn in the last 3 years, but I still have no interest in doing that shit. But thanks for the comment. But yeah, like I get it, but I don't know. It's just not for me.
I like the braking style. I always have.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
very nostalgic. You use that word, so I will always hope that that's how you guys stay.
Yeah.
That's just what we like. So,
Yeah.
like, we're gonna keep doing what we like.
That's awesome.
not
I like trying different stuff, but
I
like
know
it
you-
always
I
goes
know
back.
you do.
It always goes back to the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't, and, you know, like, sometimes I hate it.
All right, let's see if we got any questions. We threw this shit up like right before I called Malcolm.
Yeah,
I'm like, yo,
and,
throw a
and
questionnaire up.
disclaimer, sometimes they're actually not sometimes. They're usually more or less just random ass fucking questions now, which
That-
people tend to like.
Really random shit. Let's see.
If Lachlan's on there, tell him that Malcolm's not here.
Bro, what is...
Is he there?
No, I'm sure he'll be here.
Oh,
But
okay.
Let me see. There's a few. Jesus
Names.
Christ.
Make sure to try to read the names.
I can't read these people's
I
names.
love watching Frankie try to read this shit, dude.
It's like sometimes we'll do a whole podcast and then we'll be like, all right, let's do some questions real quick. And then I open this and I'm like, okay, let's do a whole nother podcast. It's like fucking ridiculous, but let's
There's
see
a
if-
lot.
Yeah.
We posted up an hour ago.
I know. First comment. Show me the fart facts. What?
What is that?
What the fuck is the
Aiden
fart?
keeps bringing that up to me, dude. He's like, how do you not know what fart facts is? Aiden, I don't know what fart facts are, bro.
Yo, your brother. How does it feel being the second coolest? How do you spell your name?
Bianski.
Bianski. I keep saying Bianski.
Yeah, he called you the second coolest.
And then another one. What's it like being so damn cool? Apparently, you guys are fucking cool. So
Pretty fucking cool to me, dude.
ask him about his wastegate. Is that a thing?
So
Who said that?
John Lewis.
I figured that's who it was.
our teammate that was helping me do the trans last weekend, when we pulled the trans because it was damaged, we saw that a few of the bolts on the wastegate had backed out.
Is it like an
and-
old setup wastegate?
Yeah, it's like an
We're
old
talking about
Apexi.
the bolts that hold the diaphragm together. Not
Oh,
what holds it
okay.
together, man.
Oh.
Yeah, not to the
okay.
manifold, the hat on the wastegate. So this week, actually, John made sure that I put more of those bolts on, so we're good now.
Because you drove it like that, obviously, at the
Yeah, it
event.
had like 2 bolts in it out of the 6.
Yeah.
So, but it worked. It was fine.
A
It
third?
worked.
A third? That's
Yeah.
pretty good, I guess.
The wastegate's doing great.
Perfect.
Milk? What kind of name is this? Milk and Cokies. How do you balance...
Fire name. What are you talking about?
Kinda. It actually is a really good name. How
right.
do you balance cars, life responsibilities, and everything else in between? Not a bad question. I feel like we didn't even talk about this shit.
That's probably both of you.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because
Where to
you
begin with that?
Like, how do you balance?
Yeah, I guess,
You
DK,
know-
this would be a good question for you, considering there's 13 cars in this.
No, 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's balanced that well.
Okay.
I mean, I guess like not having really any other hobbies helps. So like
Yeah, definitely.
when you're not juggling multiple things, obviously I don't have any kids. Like this is my main is my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I guess. So like when you don't have other obligations really, you know, other than like paying bills. So I guess it's not that difficult. I think it brings a lot of stress sometimes when you take on too much work. Like
Yeah.
maybe what's happening here.
I mean, I can tell you right now, like, if the majority of these cars are yours, I'm stressed out for you, and they're not even mine. So I'm surprised you can even handle. Like, I guess it doesn't really bother you, like having different
No,
projects.
I'm
and
totally
whatnot.
different. See, like this amount of
This is
like,
chaos for you.
For me, it's not chaos because like I've known him for so long that
Yeah.
like I get it. But like I'm like very different where like I have a bunch of hobbies, like I do a bunch of different things. So I guess it's just all like about like putting priorities like in place and making sure like the people that I care a lot about like understand like where they exist in those like priorities. So like there's been times in the past where I've like maybe put like certain hobbies before like relationships or like things like that, and like those were some things that took like some growing up to do to understand like how to approach those and be cool with it. So like
Yeah.
you know, like that was definitely something that was important to me. I was like, yo, this is a huge part of my life, but also like my partner being important, or like skating being important, or art, or like all these different things. And like I don't know, I guess it just takes time with anything, you know what I mean? Like you start to figure it out and like like learn from those mistakes, I guess.
Yeah, it's almost like one of those things where you're kind of gonna have to go through it and
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
learn.
a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
To
Yeah.
each his own type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's good advice either way. But yeah, I feel like sometimes you gotta
Yeah.
go through it yourself and see how it works out. Best thing you like about your FD3 and dislike? I'm just gonna assume this is for you.
Well, I mean, Derek has one too. Well, he has actually two.
Yeah, yeah.
Why am I not
he
even
actually
surprised?
drives though.
So the thing I like about it most, possibly the platform, like the engine itself. It was definitely something I didn't know a whole lot about, other than I had like some like homies, like when I first got into it, that had them, so like I could rely on them for like information if I like got stuck. So like the rotary engine, it was definitely like a big like factor for me.
Yeah.
Visually also, like I really like the way that they look. Dislike.
Ooh, let's go.
I guess maybe the price point of certain things now but like that just exists within anything. Like as things
Yeah.
age, things are gonna get more expensive. But like,
But it is Dom Toretto's car, so
right?
Hey,
it's
relax.
definitely different.
But like, I'm very biased. It's hard for me to ask like a dislike, honestly. Like,
So you really like those cars?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
it's outside of it. Like I don't really know something else. Like I've drifted a lot of other cars, and I still like kind of go back to mine. Like I'm the person that like, if I skate a setup, like I love that setup. Or
Yeah.
if I drive a certain thing, like I like that thing.
You're
So,
kind of committed to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
God damn, I
I'm
love
very
looking at it.
biased.
Yeah, I can relate a lot to, what you're saying right now. Like with my car, like I've had it for, over 10 years now, but I drifted it for like 10 years straight.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, are you gonna change it? Do this?" I'm like,
Why would I do that?
don't really want to. DK is probably the opposite of us, but
No, I regret not being like that because like it's way cooler to have a commitment to one chassis. Like
yeah,
it's smarter.
it's easier.
It's smarter, like, depending on your goal. Like, in Derek's case, the smartest thing to do is just get what you want, that you truly want, and run with it.
Yeah,
Whereas, like, I've had so many different things, which, I guess is good for me as far as, like, learning different cars, which then helps me kind of work on other stuff.
Definitely
Since
helps
I do
you-
kind of work on customer stuff and,
yeah,
help people with setups or whatnot.
That's what I
So,
was
like,
thinking, yeah.
in a way, it's good for me to try out a lot of stuff, but like if that's not like kind of like your thing to always be essentially lifestyle of working on cars,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
then definitely not the move. But
Yeah.
like I do wish that I had a car that I pretty much started with and kept that same thing going.
So like with that, like he's doing a lot of those like modifications time and time again, where like I've said it and it already exists, so I don't have to do that again. But at the same time, like I feel what also like differentiates like DK from myself is that he can wheel like anything. Like he can hop in anyone's car, he's gonna put a good lap together, and it's gonna look great. For me, it'll probably take all day. I'm gonna have to try really fucking hard. I'm gonna look like a dickhead for half the day, and I'm gonna be very frustrated.
kind of feel the same as that.
Yeah. So like with me, I'm like, okay, like I have these like parameters that I exist in, where him having the like driving talent that he does, I feel like lets him like kind of like not overreach, but like perform in other chassis really well also.
Yeah.
And that's something I've always like admired with like him as being like my teammate, where I was like, fuck, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like you guys are like the perfect two people to do this with, because it's like two opposite ends of the spectrum with that stuff. But I've always wanted to get into rotaries and whatnot, but like I always had this thought where I was like, I usually don't consider when I think about rotaries and getting one and working on it, I usually don't think about drifting it. It's usually total opposite thing, like just driving it and
Figuring it out.
using it as a fun weekend car.
Yeah.
But I remember someone asked me like, "Oh, why don't you just get it like a rotary and drift it?" And I was like, "Dude, fuck learning how to do everything I know how to do on an S chassis again." You know what I mean?
I
Like
feel that way.
all over. Like,
Yeah.
like I know that car inside and out. Like,
Yeah.
there's not one part of that car I don't know. So it's like, oh fuck, here we
Yeah.
go again.
So I started with an S chassis, and then I went to an RX-7, and that's how I feel now. So like,
yeah,
I feel you on that for sure.
yeah. Derek's like, that's what I live for.
That shit's getting him excited.
Yeah, just
I'm like, no, now it's just like more money. Oh, this car needs like all these suspension parts where I can just take like an FC or something and it's just like, oh, change the bushings, leave it alone.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. True.
where it's like the 8 has like 12 different control arms in the back. And like those all probably need to be adjustable for me to lower this thing a lot.
Speaking of which, I saw we had an FC. We're getting more rotaries now, so we saw an FC on the alignment rack the other day, and I was like, "What in the fucking primitive
It's
shit is
beautiful,
going
isn't it?
on back here, bro?" I'm like, "What is this setup in the back?" It's so like primitive to me after going from like multi-links and seeing all that stuff. But then I hear people talk about it, and they're like, "It fucking works."
Trailing
I'm like,
arm. It's the shit, dude.
Yeah, I was like,
It's a trailing arm?
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dude, it's wild.
It's
yeah.
fast.
Yeah. I know about the trailing arms. I have a lot of friends with E36 that shut the fuck up about that shit. Yo, I got the trailing arms, man. Rear grip, rear
they
grip.
fast too.
They're fast as hell.
I need to learn about all that shit. So
That's just crazy.
Hopefully soon. When the, Sweet Lou from Club Lou's, when they making a return to Englishtown? I have the same question, but I don't have a car right now, so I'm
Not
not
soon
really.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably legit plan something now that we're all kind of like on the same page a little bit more.
That's
Yeah.
how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like you guys are like.
Maybe 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I need to get
Maybe
my car
Frankie's
done.
car is going to be done.
It
Yeah,
100%
well,
needs to
Hurry
be.
the fuck up.
I'd
Yeah.
prefer to do it on like a chill weekend.
Okay, that's fine.
Not like how
Not like East Coast Bash?
Not how like East Coast Bash used to be.
The thing is, East Coast Bash, dude. I feel like.
It calmed down, right?
Well, the thing
A
is, like,
lot. Because I was expecting it to
Well,
not
it was like
be.
a million degrees every time.
it's
too.
not like that anymore
Oh my
because
God,
they do
it's
it on a
so hot.
different.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
thought I had heat stroke.
I don't know.
For real.
I mean, dude, if you came to ECB, it'd be cool, but if you came to another one, it'd be just as cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll figure it out. We could plan something out. I got
Maybe there'll be a faction one. Because I've been trying to.
Well, what we could do is you come for an event, and then the next day on Sunday we maybe have a private day or some shit. And
That's what we're about.
yeah,
Either
that's-
way, it sounds like a
More
good time.
grilling and
Yeah.
chilling and some burning rubber.
yeah, exactly.
Some.
What is your favorite thing about drifting as it's evolved over the last 20 years? Okay.
Name.
Still get to do it with the bros.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
like,
100%.
No matter how much it changes, you get to pick who you want to do it with and enjoy it with.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that
Yeah.
fucking awesome?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking-
Like meeting new people that are just as excited as I was about it when I first started. Like giving someone a ride along that's never been in a drift car.
Yeah,
like
that's
having those experiences where like you kind of take for granted just because like you don't think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's the sick feeling, and then having that conversation with somebody, or like I don't know, just like the commonality of it, I guess.
Yeah. That was a perfect answer. That was from Sure. What, dude? You gotta make me read all these.
Read them. Malcolm said to read them.
Fuck. Sure's daddy? I don't know.
There
Oh,
you
Steve
go.
Scherzer.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Steve Scherzer.
Oh, he's
There
got
you
more
go.
questions for you. Where do you think drifting in the U.S. is right now? At its peak? Question mark. Still on the rise? Question mark.
Yeah, right? Where is it going to go, dude?
It's a great question.
I mean, there's more and more events every year, it seems like. So, I mean, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think that helps. Man, I guess keep the guy, there's so many different ideas of what drifting should be like now.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of helps people choose the path that they want to go, or at least gives them the opportunity.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's good.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think drifting's hit its peak in the U.S.?
I don't think so. I think it's still been, I feel like right now it's like exponentially getting larger. Just I think the reach from all the social media outlets has grown it a lot.
Yeah.
And that could be the guys like that fly by night and then are gone.
Yeah.
But I think it's still growing.
Yeah, I think it'll continue to grow. I mean, it definitely could like plateau off, but like either way, like as long as you have like good people putting on like good events and doing things like Appalachia, like
Yeah.
drifting in the mountains,
Like
or
pushing the envelope a little
doing
bit.
things that are like
Newish.
not exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's always going to make it new and exciting, and like as long as those things are happening, like I want to keep doing it. Like I'll stop doing it when it no longer becomes fun to me, and that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because
Perfect.
I don't want to get burnt out either. Like, fuck.
Has seeing the price of RX's skyrocket affected how you race? I like that question.
No, because like I bought it for that reason. So like it has always been like the thing that I want. It would be like buying. I keep using skating analogies.
That's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
That's fine. A
A
lot,
lot of people
of
can relate.
people could relate.
Yeah, but it's like one of those things. Like I buy like a limited edition or like low press deck or
Yeah.
something, or like certain shoes or something. That's like no. I bought it for this reason.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to use it. Like I have so many memories in that car. So like I'm not just going to. There's people out there that race Ferraris. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I'm saying?
That
like,
is a great comparison.
That's
Yeah.
a very fantastic
like
comparison.
you can be the cool guy that races a Ferrari, or you can be the fucking dude that goes to Cars and Coffee with it. That's kind of whack.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be the version of the RX-7 guy that not comparing the two together.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. No, that's perfect. I mean, that's yeah.
Enjoy
dude.
it.
It's like
Like-
those people that buy cars and then they're like, "Yeah, I got to stop driving it. I'm putting a lot of miles on it." It's like, well, didn't you fucking buy it?
You
to
drive it in the rain. It's like it's a fucking car.
I heard some like I think it was something some boomer said, which was actually hilarious. He's like, "Well, you wouldn't just save your wife for the next guy, right?"
That is perfect.
I always tell people, well, damn, fuck. Now I feel like I'm going to stop saying that then.
But
I always say, like, you got a hot wife, you're not going to fuck her?
yeah, yeah.
You're
I mean,
crazy.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that is similar. That's what we're talking about here. Like,
I guess.
And then like I've had friends that like they'll buy cars and they'll get all these parts for them and like never put them on, and then they'll be like, "Yeah, I don't know, I might sell it. The miles are getting high up there." I'm like, dude, just fucking put the shit on the car. Enjoy the car. If you crash it, you crash it, man. Like, you get one shot at this. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of people. I feel like they like the idea of it, and like when I first met Derek, like I was like, okay, drifting seems cool. Like I've done it on video games. Like visually, I think it looks awesome. But like, let me go try this out, because if I fucking hate it, then like I'm gonna do some other shit.
yeah.
I just happen to like it a lot.
Yeah, no.
So
There's so few. I feel like it's very rare that people drift and they're like, "Yeah, that was fucking stupid."
Right?
No,
That was
we
not
say
fun.
that, but we're like, let's do stupid stuff again.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, that was dumb. I'm not doing that ever again. I haven't really heard anyone say that with drifting. But did you guys think you'd be drifting this long when you started? That's actually a good question too.
Where he's from?
Alex Cashman. The other one was from their friend Z Daddy, Sure's daddy.
Sure
Okay.
is daddy.
When you start at 16, 17, you don't really think that far in the future. No. So like, it was one of those things that was just a exciting thing at the time where
Yeah.
you're like, I feel like it almost seems like something that you would get burned out on in a way.
It's because
Because
it's stupid
definitely
on
seems
paper.
like that.
It's like one of those like excessive highs.
Yeah,
where
it's
like,
dumb on
okay,
paper, dude.
You do this like this many times, you're gonna be like, well, I'm kind of over it. That was enough, Like you ride like the some fancy roller coaster that's insane. You're like, wow, that was sick. I'll do it 2 more times, and then you don't do it ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good comparison, especially the way we are with our cars and shit, where it's like you got to make it really nice every fucking time, or you want to keep up with it, and then
Yeah.
it's like you fucking break your fucking bumper, and you're like,
Well, I feel like
okay,
that's
gotta
part of the
spend the money
That's
again.
literally the
Yeah.
journey, though, that you gotta not
Well,
learn to enjoy.
if
but
you're into it that much, and you're like really, but at the same time, like I tell Carl and I tell Malcolm all the time, because Malcolm doesn't drift. He works at the shop.
but he likes it.
Yeah, he loves it.
I
But,
actually let him drive my car.
but
a
he's
couple
smart,
times.
so he doesn't drift. But so he sees it. He's like, I can't believe this person's gonna pay this much money. I'm like, how many times I gotta tell you, these are drug addicts. Like
Yep.
that's basically
Yeah.
what it is. It's not like detrimental in the same way, but people are doing reckless shit with money.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things for me. It's like I've definitely been in the like spot where I feel like a little burnout, and like I feel like it's definitely good to like pull away a little bit, kind of like Derek and I have definitely just like said, everyone on our team, like our teammates, is like, do not fuck your life up for this. Like this is fun. This is a great hobby. Like there's so much community and camaraderie, like we said before, but like don't fuck up the rest of your life for this one thing. Don't be taking out a bunch of credit cards. Don't be like, if you need to do something, grind. You know what I'm saying? But like
That used to be.
That's the fucking faction
well,
way,
like,
dude.
But like at least have a plan. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Figure it out. And like it's one of those, like, I guess to go back to the question is like what Derek said. Like we didn't plan on doing it this long, but like it doesn't surprise me because I know like how like motivating we are and how much how motivated we are to do this and like how much we enjoy it. So like it just as like a byproduct and of its own like
Yeah.
it's its own monster, I guess, because like it creates like friendships and it's such a like fun feeling and all of these things. Like,
I mean,
it's-
like for example, like when Drift Indy kind of turned into MDU,
Yeah,
and
yep.
it was like essentially it was a pro-am,
Yeah.
and that was when like there was I think like in the States it kind of transitioned where everyone was trying to do the pro-am thing. That's when the cars were getting insane.
Yeah, that was definitely
And
the
when
time.
that was all happening, like I stepped away.
Yeah, we all pulled back.
We all pulled out pretty much, and we're kind of like,
Yeah, I remember because
I mean, we kind of fell off as far,
Yeah.
because it just wasn't and it wasn't like we were putting our foot down.
Yeah,
we
no.
didn't have a conversation about it. We just
there didn't need to be one.
naturally
Yeah.
kind of withdrew from what was going on.
Well,
and
also,
we
like,
just
that's-
weren't a part of it, and it was never even like talked about. I don't think it just
No.
it just naturally happened, and then and then we
Came back.
then we we're still interested.
Yeah.
And then we essentially put together the team,
yeah.
and then got back into the groove of things, and then like things were kind of changing because the pro-am stuff was fizzling away.
It wasn't sustainable. Like not for everybody. Obviously, there's people that are doing that and they're doing great things. But for us, like personally, it was a thing. I was just like, okay, we're getting older. Some of us have kids. Some of us are like buying houses or college or like so many of these other like variables that exist in our lives. It's like, can we go like chase this like pro dream to like what? Like to travel the country and like maybe get some clout or like. And some people have great deals, but like I don't know how many people we've seen like go pro-am and then now they could care less about drifting because like their dreams of they didn't win drifting.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude, you didn't win drifting. Like maybe you approached it the wrong fucking way.
Didn't win drifting
Yeah.
is crazy.
I mean, dude, that's
happened to a lot of guys. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of
And that
guys that
sucks.
I mean, hell, there's names that were successful in pro-am drifting that now are
Nowhere.
off the map.
Yeah.
Yep. I try to tell that to my friends too, but it's like, I don't know. Some people can't let the dream die. It seems like, you know what I mean? Like they just want it, which is fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's
if they want to do
certain
that.
avenues that people haven't realized. Like there's plenty of dudes racing every weekend at a high level at their local circle track.
Yeah.
And they're not every weekend like, yeah, this is so I can get the NASCAR. They know that that's not a reality. So
Yeah.
they do it because that's the level of competition that they belong at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sustainable. And then that's how you have fun.
Yeah.
Because you're self-aware of where you belong. Yeah, there's younger kids that start off, karting and then the midgets and the sprints, and then they gradually get to ARCA and then NASCAR or whatever. But like when you're middle-aged and you're racing cars, like not everyone can afford to do it at the highest level. And the problem with drifting is like there were no levels. There were no stepping stones. There was essentially pro-am and pro, and that's like just one large step.
Yeah.
And so, but no one knew any other way. And now with things like Street League
Yeah.
or other things where it's like, hey, this is sustainable because it's not crazy expensive.
Yeah.
You can pull it off and have a shit ton of fun with your friends and do it frequently. And you don't have to be like, this is going to get me to the pro level.
Yeah.
Because
It
it doesn't need
scratches
to
that
happen.
itch.
It
That-
doesn't need to happen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if guys wanted to, they could use that as a stepping stone to move up higher.
Yeah.
But
my first experience with my first experience with Pro-Am, like actually seeing what's going on, was with Justin when he was doing US Drift like 2015, 16. And I did not like anything I was seeing. I was like, okay, so this is pro. I don't know if it was Pro-Am. It was like whatever. It's one of those,
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of those amateur events, and like we go down there to Virginia, this and that. We were down there to support him and whatnot. First thing I noticed once I get there, no one's there. It's just the drivers. I was like, okay, so what's your goal with this again? Like, you want to try to make money doing this? No one gives a shit. Like, I just didn't. I was like, shouldn't people be here that way? People want to use you as an advertisement tool, because I don't think they're going to want to do that if no one's even coming to these events. Like it was always something like that to me, where I'm like, you need people to sponsor you, and if no one is at these events. Well, obviously nowadays it's a little different.
Yeah, but
not
still,
too different,
like,
but
there's still got to be eyes on the show.
exactly. Yeah. So once I saw that, I was like, this shit's kind of stupid. And then obviously, I come from Club Loose. You know, Matt Petty preaches that shit forever. Like, you know, pro drifting is stupid, this and that. So I got
he's
that
one
in
of the
ear.
earliest dudes to preach that.
Yeah, to really realize that and see it for what it is. And that's because he watched his friends fucking
Yeah.
do it. And he watched some of his friends become the most
Exactly. That's what I was going to bring up.
famous ones,
Yeah.
too. And he still
Some
said
of the
that.
most decorated drivers in the United States come from that region.
Yeah.
And like, well, that's, you know, it doesn't work for everybody, and you need to be like very realistic with your goals and your ability, because there's a lot of delusional people out there that for some reason think that they need to be driving in bigger and different places.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
They have that comp mentality, which I respect, like, and they have that
Well,
thing.
It exists in motorsports. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of bros in motorsports. Like,
Yeah.
as much as it is like, you know, counterculture, like, you know, BMX or skating or motocross or all these things, there's still like that competition that exists, and it's always going to.
Same shit happened in skateboarding too.
Yeah,
you know,
100%. Yeah,
but
so like,
as negative as I'm being on this, I want to circle back and make sure that I say all the like street league stuff that you guys are doing, and you guys are giving an opportunity to people who can't go do the pro-am stuff. First of all, fucking awesome.
Yeah, I never thought of. I was about to say I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Where it's like you don't have to be at the pro level to compete, I guess.
Yeah.
And like I could afford to compete in that.
And this is like when I saw this started the first time I experienced one of those types of events was Super D.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was kind of just throwing it. It was like, oh, this is a comp. It's like, oh, okay, I guess we're competing. And like I never did that. So I did like a couple runs, and I was like, I had a blast. I was
Yeah.
like, that was fucking awesome.
Cool cars, cool layouts.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it speaks to what I like about drifting.
Yeah.
And like
And it's
as
competition.
as I was saying before, you know how I feel about comp driving, and then I did that, and I was like, fuck, man. I was like, these companies need to be watching this shit.
Yeah,
sponsoring
well, that's the thing.
These drivers.
There's no rule that says like pro drifting has to be 1,200 horsepower and monster truck stuff. Like there's pro MotoGP racing 300cc bikes. So like they're
Those are
not all
sick
1,000cc bikes
Yeah.
at the pro level. There's small bike pros stuff too. So there's nothing to say that like pro drifting can't be at a street league level.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like that would be more enjoyable for a lot of people to watch.
And that's exactly my point. Like a lot of people, especially grassroots guys, they want to see that stuff.
Yeah.
They don't really want to drive hours away to watch a bunch of people with their parents' money doing pro-am. Like
because they
just
can
don't.
relate. A lot of guys,
Exactly.
a lot of guys in the stands can relate. You know, to
Yeah.
you know, like you see, like there's like bagger racing
Dude,
motorcycles
yeah, I've
now,
been watching that shit.
and it's like those aren't the best. They're insane. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but like those aren't the best, fastest bikes.
They're horrible.
They don't make much sense,
That
but
shit is
people
so
eat it
cool.
up.
Yeah.
And it's because it's cool, and like those are pro guys racing those things. They're not
Yeah.
the quickest and fastest bikes, but they're super fun to watch.
Damn.
Yeah.
I
And, like,
wonder if there's going to be an avenue for that.
There,
Imagine.
dude, there is right now. It's happening right now because
Yeah.
like
And you guys are a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, it's happening to the Front Street guys too. Like literally as we speak, like there's companies that are
Yeah,
reaching out
absolutely.
and they're
That's
finally
great.
getting to where they wanted to get to, like Josh and all them. So like we're finally watching it happen. But yeah, I don't know. It's just pretty awesome.
I feel
to
like
see.
it's good for the culture in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just this idea of how much money you can spend to do this. It becomes, we keep saying sustainability, but like,
Yeah.
it lets you drive for 10 plus years. It lets you drive for 15 plus years.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
and especially at like the level they want to push it to. Like
Yeah.
if they want to, like me and Carl were talking about on the way here. Like I'm explaining like I'm like, yeah, you can like try to get sponsors and stuff.
Literally on the way here.
Yeah, or you could do because I was explaining to him, I was like, I'm not really into that shit. I would rather just like be able to do whatever I want to do. If someone wants to give me parts or something and like I run a sticker and it works out, cool.
Yeah, if it makes sense, it makes sense.
If it makes sense, it makes sense. But like the kind of driving that they're doing, where they want to travel, they want to go everywhere, they want to go every track, they want to do like every event. It's like, yeah, then you're probably gonna need someone to start paying for it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what's going on, but I'm just like I said, I'm glad that events like those, Street League and everything, like
Yeah.
companies are finally starting to see the light, and they're like, oh, so maybe we should fucking throw them some money instead of the Pro-Am guys that have no spectators at the event. Like,
Yeah, it still happens that those pro-am events are getting low registration numbers and
yeah,
even lower spectator numbers.
dude, it was crazy.
So-
I'll never forget that moment where I'm just like, how does this make any fucking sense? Like, you're basically gambling. It's like, yeah, I might get my Pro 1 card or whatever the fuck, but like, or I won't, and I'll just keep doing this over and over and over. But then you look around the
and
pit,
have a bad time at events.
Yeah.
that
Because you're
are
just
run
stressing yourself
poorly.
out for
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, get a handful of laps and be just mostly aggravated the whole time.
yeah, and then if you do make it, like, yeah, it's weird. But to each their own, like we said. Jesus Christ, there's a lot of questions. Will you guys post up more? Sorry, that was for us. I usually try to ignore these ones.
No, we won't.
How does FD Arc 7 feel compared to an S chassis when drifting? That's a question I would like to know the answer to.
Better. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I just I feel like there's a lot like just the forward acceleration. Definitely, I wouldn't say like it like is a angle heavy chassis like versus an S chassis where I feel like it naturally has angle.
It feels
and
that way,
then,
yeah.
yeah. Like it always feels like it's just propelling you forward constantly. So like I mean, and Derek, he's slidden, his FD like quite a bit. So I feel like he could probably even answer this better just because he has a better explanation.
I
of these
think
things.
the easiest way to explain it, this is exaggeration, but I feel like an S chassis pivots right behind the front wheels, whereas like an RX-7 FC and FD pivot more, I'd say like center of the wheelbase.
at the driver.
Okay.
So like the way the car pivots back and forth, I feel like is pushed back a decent amount. Front wheels is a bit of an exaggeration for an S chassis, but where the car rotates,
Yeah, I kinda get
is
what you're
farther,
saying.
farther towards the rear wheels.
I
than
have
the
to
front.
drive one of these fucking things. Like, I want to see what it's like.
When I went to the
So less of a fishtail motion and more of almost just like a
four-wheel slide,
yeah.
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 Okay.
and like it was definitely a big learning curve for me. Like going from an S chassis to it felt so challenging and scary because I had to keep my foot in it
Yeah.
just to keep it in power and like there being like a lack of like torque and stuff. So like to me it was just like such a challenge. Like I've hopped in a couple of different cars and I was like, this is a lot of fun. And I feel like I could like do pretty well in this car.
Yeah.
But then going to my car, it's always felt like something that was challenging me always.
Would you guys compare it to a Miata?
I'd say yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who asked that question? West Have asked that question. To Derek, how was your Toyota Sequoia experience? What?
So
Oh, here we go.
Yo, wait, you had a
He loves
Sequoia?
Toyota Sequoias.
Bro, they're good bang for your buck, bro.
He loves them.
Good bang for your buck.
Big shout out to Sugar and Saketh. Last weekend when I had the gearbox issue.
Saketh?
Yeah.
Wait, he messages me about Sequoia stuff recently.
That's my dog.
For real?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
DK finds this as funny as I do. So
So last weekend, I drove down to Kentucky and I didn't have, a support vehicle. So he lent me his Sequoia to drive all the way back to Indy to get the trans
Whoa.
and then all the way back. Like the homie. Like big shout out to
That's like
the
the
Sugar
young, new
boys.
generation guys.
Yeah.
from the
Yeah,
street
because
league.
he was.
That's cool.
What is he? He's the new next.
Yeah.
I
generation
say
type?
yeah, they're younger. They're in college.
FRS?
They're like frat bros. They're probably crushing beers right now, working on
Is it
working on their
FRS car?
RX-8s.
The car is FR?
BRZ. I think.
BRZ, whatever. He
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
He was. He messaged me and asked me, "Yo, how do you get your car on the trailer? Because it's low, and I'm renting a U-Haul. I know you rent U-Hauls." And I was like, sometimes I just slap that shit on there like mad hard, and it's not good for the car, but it's what I got to do. But I told him like, get some wood.
Lots of wood.
That's
yeah,
so
yeah.
crazy. What the fuck?
yeah, that was Sugar. So
Sick.
Yeah.
Jordan
your Sequoia's
from.
good.
Do you guys remember Jordan from a team called Magnificent from the Northeast?
Sounds
It was
familiar.
a white S13, I believe, and it was one other guy too. I forget his name. I just bring it up because he asked a question, but we were talking about him the other day on the Lock City podcast.
Were they like?
Oh.
They're not the dudes that were like wild as hell back in the day. are
maybe
they?
because he's talking about
I don't know.
He said, not a question, but watching you guys pull up to ECB with the GTO towing an 86 was legendary.
Yeah,
What?
that was tongue.
Yeah, flat
What?
toe. He used the GTO to flat toe is 8.6.
That must have been the same event I was at, but like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Michael Tongue, yeah, his tow vehicle was a GTO at the time.
What kind of GTO? Like one of
Like
those
2000s.
newer ones?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the 2000, the one that
The one
looked
that
like
has an
Grand Prix.
LS2? Yeah.
hey, man, I mean, the engine can do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he flat towed his Hachi all around with that thing.
That's sick.
It was pretty wild looking.
Yo, more of you guys need to do that shit, all right?
I don't
Fuck.
know if that's allowed in New Jersey, bro.
No, they can do
It's
that
not.
shit. More of you guys gonna do some shit like that. That's cool. I mean, we're good, man. We don't need to ask all these.
I
Where do you
I
think
always
you
end it with this, like
Yeah.
the future of braking. Like, you know, I feel like I know the answer already because you guys are just gonna keep doing what you
Yeah.
guys are doing. But what do you see the future of braking being?
Hopefully chilling.
More grilling,
Yeah.
some tire
Yeah.
burning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to give you guys any more praise than I probably already have on here, but I just want to say thank you for having cool cars. Thank you for coming out to Englishtown back then, because I can speak for myself, but I can probably speak for the Front Street guys too, that you guys probably inspired a lot of us. So I appreciate that.
And being here, dude, like we mentioned something earlier, and it kind of resonated with me just because I'm not like that next gen like young, but again, I'm still kind of I dipped my toes in it for so many years, and then now I'm like kind of like, all right, let this shit rip now. Like,
Yeah.
well, let's get fully immersive in it, and meeting people like you and DK, and being here in places like this, and being able to have conversations like these. It's like that's the shit where I'm gonna go home, and now I'm gonna be like, all right, this is what I got to do now. Like I'm gonna
like
do this,
very
this, and this.
motivated right now.
I
to
think
finish
you
my
just
car.
gotta like realize like there's no timeline.
Yeah.
So like
Drifting isn't
just-
going anywhere.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
chill and like do it when you need to, or like
I feel like I was
you
worried
know.
that I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I was always where I went to high school in places where like you're working on the car and they're like, he's into cars. Like it's not like it wasn't the cool thing where I went to school.
Same.
So like
I was the only one in the car.
yeah, I was just
100%.
like, oh, okay, like I guess that's not really cool. And then I meet people like Frankie, like Chris, and I'm like, wait, this is actually kind of cool. And now I'm just like,
Yeah, but I think if you'll do it whether someone thinks it's cool or not.
Yeah, I love
like,
it.
If you like doing it, you're gonna do it no matter
Yeah.
what.
even like a styling idea or something with your car, like as much as like I want myself to think it's cool. Like I put something on, I'm like, that shit is it.
yeah,
Someone else doesn't like it. That's cool.
yeah,
Low key, I'm gonna be like, you probably have shitty taste. But I'm gonna be like, for real, like, but it might be very like super valid, and they'd be like, that sucks. I'd be like, all right, that's cool, but I like it a lot. But it's also like, it's been one of those things where like so many people have done it so well before us, and like I'm trying to like pay homage to the people that motivated me.
yeah.
And like I want to like continue to pass that torch, because like what I think is important about it, I would like someone else to, you know, maybe take that into consideration.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah, like maybe you go to a track day one time and you see a car that you don't even. It happens. I mean, you don't even know the guy. You never seen it before, and you're like, "Holy shit!"
Fuck yeah, dude. I love that. Seeing a young kid and like a sick,
Yep.
like period, like styled car. It doesn't even have to be period, but just like everything works, and it's
Yeah.
a young ass kid. And I was like, you thought about everything that you put on that car, and you're driving the shit out of it. Drifting is in a good place.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can help influence,
Yeah.
you know, just someone to where it's like, if you just see a I mean, think about how excited we still get to see like a random cool car that
You see on the
like,
street,
and it's like, damn, I'm really and it's like, oh, that kid's only like 20 years old. You know,
Absolutely.
and it's like
Yeah.
that. You know, maybe it wasn't because you did what you were doing at this age, but like it could have down that line helped someone else like get into something like that.
100%.
yeah.
Damn. Well, thank you guys so much.
man.
Do you have any other words?
No,
You guys
man,
have
I-
any other words you'd like to share, or
Thanks. for
plug
having
yourself,
us.
or
Yeah, yeah. It's a good
Yeah.
time. I
And
wish
cool.
we could have got like the Taylor Swift stuff. Like,
There's a lot, dude.
Everybody knows Frankie's a Swiffy.
Yeah,
I call
well,
you a
DK,
Swiffy.
DK said the new album slaps.
Yeah,
so,
that shocked me a little bit.
Yeah.
That shocked me a little bit.
Yeah,
because
well-
you know.
yeah, but that's what happens, dude. We do these podcasts and like if we talk beforehand.
We should have just been rolling mics the
Yeah,
whole time.
yeah. Like,
Happens every fucking time.
I would say this is probably the longest we talked to anyone before we did the podcast, right?
Because we were chilling, man.
Yeah.
We had brats and everything. You had
Yeah.
chips and shit.
So,
like,
fuck,
we had a
that
couple
sucks.
beers.
That's thanks to my wife,
Yeah.
Sandra.
Yes, thank you,
for
dude.
the
That was
brats.
so awesome.
She's the grill master around here.
yeah,
Yeah, all of a sudden there was brats coming out. I was like, when did you cook these? Like, what?
Yeah,
But,
th-
dude.
there'll be more.
Yeah.
Episodes.
Hopefully
We're
when you
gonna come
guys
back.
get over to
Right
E-Town, we'll have a
Yeah,
little
we'll
party
have
or
to.
something.
100%. If you guys come
Yeah.
out there, we're doing this again.
I like to make, if we travel, like make a thing about it. Like,
Yeah,
as,
of
like,
course.
Yeah.
Like to make sure we're just not like radar run there, burn rubber, head back home.
No,
Like,
no, no, no.
I
Yeah,
wanna do,
I mean,
like,
as you can see, we like to do the same
chilling
thing.
and
Yeah.
relaxing, and
Oh,
then,
yeah.
like the track day is more like hanging out.
Yeah, this shit's vacation for us at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I mean, I didn't mean to put numbers, but when you said 16, I was like, damn, 2 decades?
Like
2
drifting.
decades worth of driving and drifting and fuck.
That's pretty awesome. Though.
That's fucking wild. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It goes fast.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
god damn, man.
it goes fast when you don't have a car on the road too. I'm getting scared. All right. Well, on that note, we're gonna end this one, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you check out Team Braking. We'll have your guys' handles in the show notes, and then Street League. What is the Instagram for that?
That's
Drift
just
Indy,
Drift
Street
Indy.
League?
Drift
Just
Indy.
add Drift Indy, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Street League doesn't have its own handle.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Cool. All right, guys. Check those things out, and let us know if you like this podcast,
Yeah.
and leave us a review. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast, guys. This is episode 1 of 4 from our final bout journey. On the next episode, we're going to have Josh from Proceed. We did that podcast right before we went to final bout, and it was an amazing one. So make sure you check that one. Keep an eye out for it. And also, remember, we have a shop here at Faction Motorsports where we do alignments, suspension overhauls, exhausts, pretty much anything you need on your car done. We not only work on drift cars, we also work on your daily drivers, your track cars, pretty much anything you need. As long as it's a car and you're not bringing me a Mack truck, we should be pretty good. So to all you locals out there, just make sure you shoot us an email if you need anything, and we'll make sure to get back to you and get you scheduled. Another reminder to all you guys, we do sell parts here. We stock parts, we sell parts, we get parts from Japan, everything. So make sure you check out our website, FactionMotorsports.com, for all your drifting needs. And lastly, thank you again, Derek and Derek from Team Braking. I can't thank you guys enough. This was a pretty important episode for me. I've always wanted to talk to you guys, and you guys lived up to my expectations. So I appreciate it. I hope we can all drift together someday soon.